lot of fun to work with, and the people are lining up outside the window, not just to see the big cell phone. They're even though your daughter ditched you.
Everybody's enjoying the show except for my daughter, who is standing in front of another radio station now or something. I have no idea, but the Cubs play the Brewers here in just a few minutes. We'll get into that, and also for the rest of the week, we got a big week planned here, and we hope you can join us every single day. Billy Mays is going to be with us. Now, Billy Mays, you know who that guy is, of course. The perfect pitch person used to be before ShamWow.
ShamWow.
All of a sudden, Vince at ShamWow is taking a piece of that pitch turf. And so we're going to see what kind of action we can get with Billy Mays. And we're also going to let you call up and sell us your stuff. I mean, we will take the WGN money. If we have to sell pizzas to get it, we're going to take the WGN money and we're going to buy your stuff if it's a good enough pitch for Billy Mays. So that's coming up this week. Also, you know, I heard about this naked bike ride in Peru over the weekend.
And I think you actually talked to somebody, too, or you're going to have someone who
We talked to a few people who were in that ride. We're going to talk to them tomorrow, and I had no idea that there was a naked bike ride here.
Right. There's one that goes through Bucktown every year, Bucktown Wicker Park area.
And, of course, Bucktown is the perfect name for a place
I knew you were going to like
a naked bike ride. But
that's coming up in June, and we're going to talk to someone from the naked bike ride.
That's the naked bike ride. And, you know, right now they've got a team of people just washing those seats. That's all they're doing now. But anyway, we're going to talk to those people. A lot of chafing involved. We'll find out about that tomorrow. And then Drew Peterson, kind of a different take on Drew Peterson that we'll get into tomorrow and find out what that's all about. So got a lot of stuff lined up. Dan Aykroyd may join us. And Frank Caliendo, who master impressionist. You've seen him do John Madden. He's going to give us his take on March Madness and also the baseball season coming up on Wednesday. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
You certainly do, and I think you're going to talk about stupid laws too.
Yeah,
because surprisingly, we have a few of those in Chicago, and I know you've been to a lot of places.
Foie gras. I mean, all of that kind of stuff, right? The law, and they rescinded it.
They rescinded it. Now we can once again have foie gras.
You can have foie gras?
We can have foie gras.
While you're riding the bicycle naked? I got to tell you something.
That might be a little difficult.
And thanks for all the calls today. That's the one thing you got to watch out for, though. If a guy comes to you driving a truck and claims he's selling foie gras, I know there's none of those guys. I mean, you got to go in a restaurant to get one of those guys. So anyway, thanks for being here. We got Cubs coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And what else?
We do. Well, I still like the stupid. I can't wait to hear your stupid laws too, because
we got a bunch of them,
back in the office.
And by the way, Donnie Osmond may join us. Donnie Osmond may join. I have.
He's in your book.
Two people I'd like to apologize to this week if we can get to it. And one of them is Donnie Osmond. The other is Richard Simmons, who, by the way, when I worked in Cincinnati, and Richard Simmons came in and actually slapped me on the rear end.
Is it Richard Simmons or Donnie Osmond?
Which guy? Slimy. Richard Simmons. And Richard Simmons, for some reason, when I called him on that, he got very defensive and started crying. I am not kidding you.
You made a man cry.
I made Richard Simmons cry.
Okay,
he was very, and he's very emotional. He wrote me a letter.
He's a very nice.
He's an extremely sweet guy, and I mean the guy is incredible.
And you're going to apologize to Richard Simmons.
I'm going to apologize to Richard Simmons. We're going to straighten all of that out. And so anyway, there's a lot of work to be accomplished here on WGN, and I hope I'm the man to do it.
And you have the whole week to do it. Randy Miller will be here with you for the next couple of days. Cubs baseball is coming up here on Newstalk 720 WGN. We want to thank everybody involved with the broadcast: Randy, Bob Ferguson, Jarrett Graham, the intern,
and Beyonce.
Because if you liked it, you should have put a ring on it.
Absolutely.
What better way to end the show here on Newstalk 720 WGN?
Going on now?
Close. I think we're maybe 2 minutes away.
Did you get something to eat?
I'm away for the fifth inning today, I think. I'm good.
Well, then bring me up 2 minutes. Just to have.
I'm not going. What do you want?
No, when you go. In the fifth.
I was going to go out and get a burger or something, or a hot dog. Fifth inning?
Yeah.
You didn't eat either? Are you all right? You need something right now?
Where's my Cub roster? It's Jose Escanio, correct? Okay. Had a brain cramp. Happens a lot.
How many senior moments I had?
3.
69. Huh?
Welcome to Cubs Central pregame from Maryvale Ballpark in suburban Phoenix, Arizona. Today, the Chicago Cubs will square off against the Milwaukee Brewers. Judd Surratt welcoming you to Cubs Central pregame. The Cubs 9-10 thus far here in Cactus League play. The Brewers 7-2, an absolutely spectacular day for baseball here in suburban Phoenix. Not a cloud in the sky, 85-degree temperatures, and just a little piece of a wind that's blowing out to left center field. Our first look at today's ball game is sponsored by the Lowe's Building Blocks to Success. Lowe's, let's build something together. And with that, I'd like to bring in Cubs legend Ron Santo. Ron, today we're going to see Jeff Samardzija on the mound against Dave Bush. Samardzija does not have a decision here in Cactus League play, a 6.75 ERA. This will be his third start of the spring training, and even though it looks like Sean Marshall will probably end up in that fifth starter's role, Lou Piniella isn't quite ready to name him yet, and he's going to extend Samardzija again today.
Yeah, I think with what Marshall has done so far, there's no doubt in my mind that he's probably going to be the fifth starter, and that's what you like to have, and you got some off days. But you got two left-handers in that starting rotation, which you really got to like. And also, Samardzija, to me, they're debating what they're going to do: keep him in the bullpen, or send him down to get, some more innings in to become a starter. I personally would like to see him in this bullpen because this bullpen is very strong, got some great arms, and of course he has a great arm, and he's a competitor, and he's used to the big crowds and everything at Notre Dame, so I'm hoping today he has a very good outing.
Well, one of the things that they've done, Ron, is by giving him some starts here during spring training, they've extended him, allowing him to work on some different pitches.
Absolutely, and, he's got the good fastball anywhere from 95 to 98, and he's also got a split finger, that pitch that if he gets better control of, is really the out pitch for him, and he's working on a slider also.
Mike Fontenot will be in the lineup for the Cubs today, playing second base. Yesterday in Tucson, he drilled his third homer of the spring, and he had cemented that second base job.
I call him Babe Ruth, little Babe Ruth. I mean, he impressed me the minute I saw him come up from AAA, compact swing, little guy, but ball jumps off his bat. He's just got that great stroke, and there's no doubt he'll be probably starting second baseman at the start of the year, and he's just had a tremendous spring.
Yesterday, Ronnie, Rich Harden got the start against the Diamondbacks. He ended up going 2 2/3, allowed 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 runs. Overall, he said he likes where he's at, but mechanically, he's still trying to correct a few things.
Yeah, it's just getting the work in and fine-tuning some mechanical things and just being consistent throwing strikes. That'll come. Getting all the pitches working. And but as far as strength and conditioning right now, my shoulder and my body, I feel like I'm middle of the season. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get out there next time.
Ron, a healthy Rich Harden, a good Rich Harden would mean so much to the Cubs this year.
There's no doubt. He on the days before he had the little shoulder problem. He was unhittable. He has, believe it or not, I can't believe it because every time he changes speeds with a changeup, it's a changeup that looks like a slider at times. It looks like a forkball at times. And you would think he has 3 pitches, but he really has the fastball that 95 or I would say 92 to 95, and he's got a great changeup that, as I said, looks like a slider sometimes and a forkball.
Ronnie, we talked a little bit about this on Saturday, that Lou Piniella's biggest chore he feels here during spring training is getting the bullpen settled out. And specifically, that 7th inning, he feels that will determine who he's going to put in the closer's role. Jose Escanio was a guy who really seemed to impress Piniella here early in Cactus League play. His first 4 appearances, he didn't allow a single run. Yesterday, he got touched up a little bit.
Yeah, he did get touched up a little bit yesterday, and you were at the ball game. And but I don't think that's going to affect how Lou feels about the man. One thing that Lou loves is the fact that he could throw. In other words, he's got velocity. He can be there at 95, 96 with a split finger and a slider.
Micah Hoffpower will also be in the lineup for the Cubs today. He continues a torrid spring, a 3-run homer yesterday off of Brandon Webb. He's tied for the team lead in Cactus League play.
Yeah, there's no doubt. As I mentioned to you, Judd, that he's going to be a star as far as I'm concerned. There's just not any room right here for him, but I guarantee you he's going to get a lot more playing time, and he's going to get 300, 350 at-bats. That's for sure. His best position is definitely first base, but he is getting comfortable in the outfield.
Lou Piniella will have a ton of big bats in the lineup, and they had a good game on Saturday when the Cubs had a chance to play that game on Saturday against the Los Angeles Angels. For some reason, it escaped me there. But those guys had a big day. Soriano, Lee, and Milton Bradley was supposed to play. He was a late scratch.
Yes, he was a late scratch. But, Milton's, being around him and watching him, he's very serious when he takes batting practice. He's always swinging on the side. He's got, he's all about baseball. And as you say, he's got the flu. And there's a lot of flu going around in Arizona. And evidently, Milwaukee, there's been about 10 guys that have had the flu. So he's not going to be in the lineup, but we're going to see Hoffpower, and that's big.
Well, the Brewers are going to play 7 of their regulars today, and these guys can hit. Ronnie, last year they made the playoffs for the first time since 1982.
I tell you, they got a great hitting ball club. And the way I look at the Brewers, I look at the Cardinals. No matter if you're in first or last, it's always a great ball game between the Brewers and the Cubs. And there's been so many games that Pat and I have done since the Brewers came into the National League that you could be 4 or 5 runs down and it could change in the 9th inning. You never know what's going to happen.
No question about it. Coming up next here in our Cubs Central pregame show, Ron will sit down with the manager of the Cubs, Lou Piniella. That and more coming up as Cubs Central pregame rolls on. You're listening to the WGN Chicago Cubs Radio Network.
Doesn't it seem like every furniture store is having a sale right now?
I couldn't think of the
Angels. Tell you about one sale that's different from all the rest.
And LA
This is Ken Price from Tom's Price Market, letting you know
Cubs Central Lou Piniella Show on News Talk 720 WGN is sponsored by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers.
Hi, everybody. Ron Santo back here in Arizona with the manager of Chicago Cubs, Lou Piniella. Well, yesterday's ball game, Lou, you've seen some home runs being hit. It seemed like the team really swung the bat well, and Hoffpauir, another 3-run homer, and of course my buddy Babe Ruth, Fontenot, hit another home run.
Yeah, Hoffpauir got us on the board with a 3-run homer in the third inning. And then Arizona pulled ahead, and Snyder and Fontenot went back-to-back. Castillo added another one. It was good to see us score 10 runs. We haven't been scoring that many runs here in spring training. We've been playing our lineups, everyday lineups, rather sparingly. Although here in the next 2.5 weeks or so, we've got to get them some at-bats. So I think you'll see more regulars getting more at-bats. But, you know, when you score runs, it makes your team look good. And yesterday, we put 10 runs on the board. Our pitching wasn't quite as good. Harden threw the ball really well for 2 innings, and then I think he tired out a little bit there in the third, but he's starting to stretch himself out. Also, Escaño struggled. That was a little disappointing in that he had been pitching so well, and we expected him to come in and pitch a nice ninth inning for us. I think what happened was he became a thrower instead of a pitcher. Hopefully he learned from that. No matter whether the score is 10-4 or it's 4-4, you've got to pitch instead of throw. And I think he probably just came in and thought to himself, well, I've had some success. I'll just throw the ball by these guys. It doesn't work that way. But a lot of positive things in that game. A lot of positive things in this camp. Some things we'd like to improve on, but we still got some time.
Well, it seems like you like to see that at this time of the year. And as far as I understand Miles has an injury.
Well, Miles has he'll be playing tomorrow, Ron. We could have brought him over today. We just gave him one more day. He's got a little sprain in his shoulder. We're going to see him. You're going to see us play him only at second base for a while now. We don't want him making these different throws from short and third and second. I think that's what caused the problem in the first place. But, you know, it's unfortunate. Both Fontenot and Miles are going to have to do that from time to time because we've got to rest Ramirez, and somebody's going to get the job done over there at third. So, and when we rest Terrio, Miles is a perfect candidate to do that too. So he's going to have to be able to throw the ball from both sides of the infield. But he'll be back in there tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll see Koski also. I'll tell you what, I don't know how he'll do once the game starts, but I'll tell you what, his BP today, he made Holcomb Park look small. I mean, he hit the ball. Yeah, he really did.
Oh, that's great.
So we'll see what happens with that. Also, you're going to see Samardzija today. We're going to stretch him out 4 or 5 innings. 60 pitches or so. Let's hope he's impressive. You know, with Samardzija, we're going to have to make a determination, rotation, bullpen, or what. And, look, to me right now, Marshall is about secured the 5th spot the way he's pitched. So I think what you're going to see is after this one last turn around the rotation, I think you're going to start seeing us put people in spots where we're going to use them during the season. It'll give everybody a pretty clear indication of what we're doing and how we feel about our particular players.
Milton Bradley a little under the weather.
He's ill. He's sick. He's got the flu. We had he and Wells. Wells was supposed to pitch a little bit today too. So we sent both of them home. The flu's been going around these spring training camps. I was talking to the Arizona people yesterday, and just a few days ago they had 10 or 12.
Wow.
So, we've been fortunate. We haven't had too many. But, Bradley's not here today, and, he's been coming along fine. Swinging the bat, playing some right field. You know what I'd really like to see, Ron, and this is maybe wishful thinking because it's still a little early, Boy, I'd like to see our big guys pop a few balls.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'd like to see. The wins and losses here in spring training, yeah. But, boy, you see Big Lee or Big Ramirez or Soriano or whomever, and they get in a nice hitter's count and they get a good fastball. You like to see them whack it, don't you?
I hear you.
Well, let's go get a win today.
Yeah, let's go get it. We got some Marja. We're going to pitch a few people today, and I'm going to let our regulars play probably 5 or 6 innings. So, yeah, let's go out and play a good ball game and get one on the win column. Thanks.
Lou Piniella, the fine manager of the Chicago Cubs. We'll be right back with more baseball on WGN Cubs Radio Network.
The Cub Central pregame on News Talk 720 WGN is sponsored by National City Bank.
Hi, everybody. Ron Sando back here in Arizona, and on the pregame show is the fine coach for the Chicago Cubs, infield coach and bench coach, Alan Trammell. And Alan, you know, we got a couple new infielders, and Miles, of course, we picked up from St. Louis. How is he doing? And I want to talk about the infield defense right now.
Well, starting with Aaron Miles, he's had a little bit of a setback earlier last week. He had a little funny play at first base, trying to avoid a poor throw and jammed his shoulder awkwardly. So he's been out a few days, but he'll be back here very shortly, and we welcome him back. But really, to get back to him at the start, he has really been a nice addition, a professional ball player. Give you a quality at bat. Will fill in at short, second, and third. And, you know, it looks like Mr. Fontenot has taken over the starting position, but that doesn't mean that Aaron's not going to get plenty of playing time. Again, with all the day games and things, that Lou likes to have some flexibility and versatility, and Aaron fits that bill, and we certainly welcome him. He's a real pro as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at both of them, they're both pretty good defensive players, along with swing the bat well. I know Babe Ruth, a little Fontenot, I call him. It's got some pop in that bat.
Well, you're right, and Mike Fontenot has done a tremendous job from the middle of last year to now being really the starter for the Chicago Cubs, and deserves it, to be honest with you. He's got some pop. I mean, just yesterday he had an opposite field home run. That's some, that's some pop, yeah. Ron. As you know, that's some power. When you drive a ball out of the park, the opposite field, that's showing some tremendous power. So he's really deserves it. He's worked extremely hard, and him and Ryan Terrio are ex-teammates at LSU, and these guys are gym rats. They get after it. They might not be the prettiest, the smoothest guys, but they're going to get the job done because, Ron, they're going to will themselves into doing a good job. And so Cub fans are going to be very excited about a good, solid season. Again, they probably won't make the fantastic play, but who cares? We want the routine plays. That's what's going to get us back into postseason.
You hit it right on the nose. You talk about those two guys, and, they're gamers. They go out there every day and give you 100%, and they will themselves, which is great. Let's talk about Terry at shortstop. I know last year, he had a tremendous year swinging that bat, and he did a good job at shortstop. What would you say that Terry, he's having a heck of a spring this year, and he looks very good at shortstop?
Well, he does. But the first day of spring, I sat down and I wrote some notes down as soon as we were eliminated, unfortunately, earlier than we would have liked. But again, you've got to move on at some point. But I had wrote down some notes for every one of our infielders about what I was looking for and for the next season. What can they do to improve? And I think everybody needs to feel that they can get better.
Yeah.
And for Ryan, it was more of just trying to get polishing him up. Sometimes he gets a little revved up, and you've got to slow the game down, and that's what good players do. And it's more of just trying to work on the whole game, but in certain situations, learning, positioning, again, slowing the game down, which I believe will happen with more experience. And again, these guys are workers. And so from a coach's standpoint, Ron, I couldn't be more happy and more pleased to say, hey, guys, be there at 8:30, be there at 8, be there at 9, whatever time I want. These guys are there. They're like sponges. They want to get better.
Thanks a lot, Alan.
My pleasure, Ron.
Alan Trammell will be right back with more baseball on WGN Cubs Radio Network.
Cubs Central Sportswire on Newstalk 720 WGN is sponsored by Blue Cross, Blue Shield of Illinois, and Marathon. Judd Surratt back here on Cubs Central pregame here from Maryvale Ballpark in suburban Phoenix. At the top of the hour, it'll be the Chicago Cubs 9-10 here in Cactus League play, squaring off against the Milwaukee Brewers 7-7-2 here in the Cactus League. This will be the third and final meeting between these two teams during the spring. In other spring training action, in the Grapefruit League, top of the ninth, Detroit has rallied with 2 runs to tie the St. Louis Cardinals at 6. Some finals from earlier today. Minnesota knocked off Baltimore 5-3. The Red Sox victorious 6-4 over the Toronto Blue Jays. Washington 3. The Florida Marlins 1. In the bottom of the 6th in Tampa, it's the Yankees 5 and Philadelphia 0. Later tonight, the Pittsburgh Pirates will host Tampa Bay. In the Cactus League, the White Sox will host Kansas City in Glendale. Bartolo Colon is supposed to make his first start of the spring. Elsewhere, it'll be the Angels and the Giants going at it. The Arizona Diamondbacks will host Colorado in Tucson. The Dodgers and Oakland will play. The Dodgers also playing a split squad game against the Seattle Mariners. Seattle also playing a split squad game against the Cleveland Indians. In the World Baseball Classic, tonight at 7 o'clock Chicago time, Venezuela and Puerto Rico will meet. And at 10 o'clock Chicago time, it'll be Cuba against Mexico. Some notes from the World Baseball Classic. Team USA avoided elimination by beating the Netherlands last night 9-3. The United States will play on Tuesday night against the loser of Monday night's game between Puerto Rico and Venezuela. Left-hander and Cub Ted Lilly will get the start for the Americans. If they win, they'll advance to the semifinals next weekend in Los Angeles. Some Team USA players have been bitten by the injury bug during the tournament. One involving the teams we're seeing today, and that's the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers left fielder Ryan Braun injured a muscle in his rib cage. Milwaukee manager Ken Maka told me this morning he is not terribly concerned about the severity, but Braun is headed to Phoenix to rejoin the Brewers. Red Sox second baseman Dustin Pedroia, the reigning AL MVP, suffered an abdominal injury. Pedroia said the injury is not serious. Chipper Jones aggravated a strain in his right side, ending his run in the tournament. All it took was one game. Yesterday, Dodgers left fielder Manny Ramirez pulled his hamstring playing the outfield for the first time this spring. No word on when he'll be back. There is one guy who's actually getting healthy. Phillies All-Star second baseman Chase Utley played his first spring game yesterday, and he sees no reason why his hip, which he had operated on during the offseason, won't be able to play for the Phillies on opening day. ESPN is reporting that the Astros have signed All-Star catcher Ivan Rodriguez to a one-year deal. Pudge Rodriguez split last season with the Tigers and the Yankees. College basketball, Northwestern will match up against Tulsa in the first round of the NIT on Wednesday night. Pre-game coverage starts at 7:45 p.m. on WGN2. Tip-off is set for 8 o'clock, and we'll join the game in progress on WGN following the Blackhawks game. Coming up next, the first pitch with Pat Hughes and Ron Santo here on the Cubs Central pregame show from Maryvale. You're listening to the WGN Chicago Cubs Radio Network.
Testing one. Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Crank it up, please, Walt. A little higher, a little higher. How much time before we go on? Guys, we're going on here.
Are you working today?
Chicago Cubs baseball is on the air from Maryvale Baseball Park, just west of Phoenix, Arizona. It's a Cactus League encounter between the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. Good afternoon, everybody. Along with Cubs legend Ron Santo, it's Pat Hughes reporting. It is a glorious Monday afternoon here in the Valley of the Sun. Cloudless blue skies overhead. The temperatures will reach into the 80s on this nice warm afternoon, a great day for a ball game. The Cubs and the Brewers, division rivals in that National League Central. In fact, they have battled tooth and nail right to the wire the last couple of years, and they'll meet in the opening week of the regular season at Miller Park this year. More about that later on. The starting pitchers today, a couple of right-handers. Jeff Samardzija going for the Cubs, and Dave Bush starts for the Brewers. Back to take a look at the starting lineups and get this one underway right after these words on the WGN Cubs Radio Network.
We'll wash the car.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Cubs today. Leading off in left field, Alfonso Soriano. Ryan Theriot batting second and playing short. The number 3 hitter at first base, Derek Lee. Michael Hoffbauer in right field. Hoffbauer hitting fourth. Aramis Ramirez at third base. Ramirez batting fifth and playing third. The number 6 hitter, Mike Fontenot at second base. Reed Johnson in center field. Paul Bacco catching, and Jeff Samardzija batting ninth for the Chicago Cubs. For the Brewers, quickly, Ricky Weeks leads off at second base. Chris Duffy in left field. J.J. Hardy hitting third and playing short. As Alfonso Soriano of the Cubs steps in, we are just about ready to get underway. Prince Fielder hitting cleanup, playing at first. Corey Hart, the right fielder, will get the balance of their lineup in a moment. Right-hander Dave Bush rocks and fires to Soriano. First pitch is a strike, and away we go. Again, Prince Fielder hitting cleanup, playing at first. Corey Hart in right. Mike Cameron, the fleet-footed center fielder, hits sixth. Bill Hall at third base. Soriano pulls a grounder foul toward third. Jason Kendall is Milwaukee's starting catcher, batting eighth. And right-hander Dave Bush is on the mound, and he's ahead of Soriano 0-2. And, Ronnie, we've seen a lot of Dave Bush.
We've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of Dave Bush. I'm finally on. I'm sorry about that. And Dave is a guy that has a breaking ball, changeup. He's got a sinking fastball. We've had a lot of success against Dave Bush. He's pitched a couple good ball games, but he is hittable.
Lifetime against the Cubs, Ron, you're right. He is just 1-7 with an ERA of 4.8. The 0-2, Soriano takes a curve in the dirt.
He's not really overpowering, Pat, and that's the key. He does have a sinker, but if he threw a little harder, he might be very tough. But he's got to spot the ball.
No score just underway here in Maryvale on a beautiful day. Here's the 1-2. Curveball just inside, 2-2. Bush, a big right-hander, born in Pittsburgh, makes his home in Bridgeton, Maine. 6'2", 204-pounder. He's about a 500 big league pitcher so far. Soriano pulls a grounder foul off the hands. Alfonso thought he might have broken his bat. He did not. Still 2-2. In his career, Bush has made 92 starts. His record, 33 wins, 31 losses. A year ago, he was 9-10. Now the 2-2. Soriano loops it foul, another curve, and we'll do it again.
You know, Lou was talking on his pregame show how happy he is with everybody, but he said one thing he'd really like to see right about now is the big boys start taking the ball out of the ballpark, showing some pop.
The 2-2. Fastball low and away. I heard your visit with Lou a few moments ago, Ron, and he was happy with the 4 homers the Cubs belted yesterday.
Yeah.
In their win down in Tucson over Arizona.
Well, little Babe Ruth is tied with Hoffpauir.
Line toward right, down the line. Hart can't get it. Base hit, fair. Rolls into foul territory. Soriano going for 2. Corey Hart's throw late. Double for Soriano to lead off the game.
Well, that's what you like to see right there.
A soft liner just fair down the right field line. Landed fair by a couple of feet and then curled into foul territory. Soriano not running real hard down the line at first. And then he got to the bag at first and then turned on the jets and went to second.
I think the reason he thought maybe it was going foul. That's what I thought, but maybe I'm wrong.
Here's Ryan Theriot stepping in. Cubs wearing their dark blue shirts and gray trousers. Red numbers on the Cubs' backs as Bush fires to Theriot, who shows bunt and takes low, ball 1. Boy, what a day, Ron, huh?
Oh, gosh. It's every day, Pat. It's every day.
77 degrees, low humidity, very little breeze, if any. Perfect day for a game. Soriano leads at second, hands on his knees. Theriot shows bunt, takes low for a ball, 2-0.
I don't think Theriot's going to bunt, but he's taken a couple pitches. Now he's got a 2-0 count.
Now he's got a good hitter's count, Ron.
You're darn right, and that's what I think he's looking for.
Theriot having a good spring with 12 hits and a .400 batting average in the Cactus League. Pickoff throw to second, not in time. Hardy, the shortstop, snuck in behind Soriano.
And a guy like Theriot is the situation really, he goes the other way so well. So he can get him over either with the base hit, score him, or get him over to third base with a ground ball to the right side.
Ball on the outside corner for a called strike.
I know you hesitated there because that ball was outside.
2 balls and 1 strike. Dale Scott, veteran home plate umpire, calling balls and strikes today. Bob Davidson on the bases, along with Brian Gorman and Paul Schreiber. Good crew. The 2-1. Theriot swings and misses at a sinking fastball.
Yeah, he got a good fastball in on him and had a little mustard on it.
The Brewers in their home uniforms, they have the navy blue shirts, white numbers, white pants with a navy blue stripe down the side of the trousers, navy blue socks, and dark shoes. Now the 2-2 from Bush to Theriot. Curve tap foul. Derek Lee on deck. Cubs trying to score in the opening inning. Getting back to your discussion with Lou Piniella, as you get closer and closer to opening day, you want your regulars to get more and more at-bats.
Yes. And you want your regulars to feel very good at the plate leaving spring training.
The 2-2. Swing and a miss. He got him.
Got him on a breaking ball.
It dropped low and away. Terrio is out number 1. No score. Soriano at second. Top of the first. Here's Derek Lee. The Cubs beat Dave Bush twice a year ago, and he had a rather beefy ERA against the Cubs, 6.1. He made 4 appearances. He was 0-2 with a pair of no decisions. One game I remember in particular was the 4th game of that 4-game series at the end of July at Miller Park, the day game. The Cubs beat him. Jim Edmonds hit a grand slam against Dave Bush as Lee takes outside for a ball.
Speaking of Jim Edmonds, did he get picked up?
Not that I know of, Ron. No, he is one of the many unsigned ball players. Former Brewer Ray Durham is also in that unsigned category.
Well, they're both, been...
Lee hits a ground ball to third. It's gloved by Hall. Holding at second, Soriano. Hall with a good, strong throw across the diamond. 2 down. 2 away, and here's Micah Hoffpower. Do you think those guys will return, Edmonds and Durham?
You know what? I think there's some other guys out there probably a little better. And they're at the end of their careers.
Here's Micah Hoffpower right at the start of his big league career. Belted a big 3-run homer yesterday. Significantly, it came against Arizona ace Brandon Webb.
Oh, this kid can hit.
Hoffpower takes low and in.
And he hangs in there against left-handers. Lou really, he's just one of those guys that right now he'd love to be playing every day, and he should be playing every day. But
here's the pitch, swinging a foul back.
That was the problem when I first played in the big. I started in the big leagues. Was the fact that there was only 16 major league teams, 8 in the National League, 8 in the American League, and a lot of minor league teams. And it depends on what team you get on. And Alvin Dark was the third baseman my first year, and then retired the next year.
Hoffpower hits a high fly ball, shallow right center, routine for Cameron. And with the glasses glistening, Cameron makes the catch to end the inning. The Cubs squander a leadoff double by Soriano. After a half, Cubs nothing, and the Brewers coming up. We move to the bottom of the first inning. The starting lineups we gave you a few moments ago, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Experience wellness everywhere. Bottom of the first, 0-0. On the mound, Jeff Samardzija for the Cubs. Ricky Weeks to lead it off for Milwaukee. Maryvale Baseball Park. Beautiful park, nice facility. 350 down the line in left, 340 to the corner in right. Samardzija's first pitch, fastball is outside. Ronnie, tell us about Jeff.
Well, Jeff has 3 pitches. That fastball that could be 95 to 98. Good split finger. That's really, with the fastball and the velocity, that's the pitch he strikes out a lot of guys with, the forkball. And he also has a slider.
He misses upstairs. 2 balls and no strikes to Weeks. The 6-foot 5-inch right-hander, the former Notre Dame football star, Samardzija fires. There's a good strike right down the middle. 2-1. Question
with Samardzija, it's pretty much Judd and I were talking, and in talking with Lou, it's very probable that Marshall's going to be the 5th starter.
Swing and a miss. Overpowering fastball.
That was. And they're looking at maybe sending him out to AAA to get some innings in and make him a starter. That's going to be decided between Lou and Jim Hendry. We'll just have to wait and see.
Now the 2-2 to Weeks. Strike 3 called. Fastball buzzed him on the outside corner. 1 away. I don't think he's thrown an off-speed pitch yet.
No, he hasn't. And he's got good velocity.
But, Ronnie, that's always been the case in baseball. You get a kid like Samardzija, and the situation you were just describing, do you keep him on your big league roster and maybe put him in the bullpen and he it works very sporadically, or do you send him down to AAA where in the long run it might be better for his career to get him that regular work, get into the pitching rhythm, working every 4 or 5 days as a starter? It's a tough decision.
It is a tough decision, and to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of spoiled. I mean, in a sense, this guy in the bullpen with his stuff.
Big chop to short to his left. Terrio running throw to lead to get him. 2 down. Go ahead, Ron.
I just feel that he's a guy with a great arm to come out of this bullpen and maybe spot start on occasions. But of course, when you're looking at a starter, you know they're used to going 6 to 9 innings, and I think you're right in a sense. I think they will, because he wants to start that.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wants to start, I think he'd go down.
J.J. Hardy batting. No score. Bottom of the first. 2 down. Base is empty. Samardzija to Hardy. J.J. checks on an inside fastball. No swing. And the count 1-1. Well, it's a given, Ron, that every kid wants to be in the big leagues.
Yes.
That's a definite. So there's that little hurdle mentally. Here's a swing and a foul back that I think a player has to get over. If he is sent down, he can't look at it from a discouraging standpoint. He's got to look at it like, okay, they want me to work on a few things. They want me to get my regular work in. And as I said earlier, in the long run, many times that is actually better for the player. Driven toward right center, in the gap, base hit, going all the way to the wall. Cut off on the track by Johnson. Rounding second and holding with a double is Hardy.
Now, that was a breaking ball. That might have been a slider or it might have been a fork ball, just hung up there. That was not a pitch I think he wanted to throw. And I think the character of Samardzija is fantastic. So his demeanor, I think he would want, whatever he wants to do, whatever they want him to do, he'll do with no problem.
And, Ronnie, no matter what happens to him here in the next few weeks or even a couple of months, this kid is a big leaguer.
Oh.
And he will be in the big leagues for a long time.
No doubt.
Fielder takes high for a ball, and the count is 1-0. Hardy at second, 2 down. fielder this spring with 3 home runs. Huge left-handed batter, not tall, but very wide and very strong. The pitch by Samardzija. Swinging a high drive, deep right field. Going back is Hoffpauir in the corner, looking up, tough chance. Hoffpauir can't get it. It's off his glove. Scoring is Hardy on a drive by Fielder, who goes to third, and Fielder with a triple as he slides in. The throw gets away and goes into the dugout, and Fielder will be allowed to score. 2-0 Milwaukee.
You know, that was a very difficult play for Hoffpauir. It looked like that ball just kept drifting to his left, and he was running. He kept an eye on it, but then that ball hit really high off the wall. I mean, off his glove. But I'm just saying, the wall was there all of a sudden. I think the wall had something to do with him not catching that ball.
2-0 Milwaukee. It's an RBI triple for Fielder, and a throwing error on the second baseman, Mike Fontenot, I believe is what they have ruled. So triple RBI, E4. Fielder went diving into third. That was quite a sight.
Yeah, that was. Thought he was going to take the bag with him.
Samardzija to Hart. It's low and outside. I think Hoffpauir initially misjudged that ball. He started in. It was a towering drive by Fielder into the corner and right. As Hart takes high, and as Ron told you, Hoffpauir went back, was thinking about the wall. Very tough chance. He made a leaping try, could not grab it. Hardy scored easily as Corey Hart waits. And Hart lines one into the left field corner. That'll be an extra base hit. Up against the 350 sign, and Corey Hart has a double. 3 straight extra base hits for Milwaukee.
And we were talking about the breaking ball, and that's what they've been hitting. So evidently he's not getting that ball down. And that's what he has to do.
2-0 Milwaukee, and here is Mike Cameron.
And, you know, Pat, when Fielder hit that ball, I could tell he got it more on the trademark. He got a little bit jammed. But, you know, it was high, and, you know, this air here, you think maybe it was going to fly out of here.
A man at second, 2 down. Mike Cameron bats. Samardzija fires. First pitch high and inside, ball 1. Both teams with a lot of their regulars in the lineup today. Cameron slated for everyday duty again in center. Right-handed batter with power, wearing white batting gloves on each hand, takes a breaking ball for a strike. With the exception of left field, this would be the Brewers' opening day lineup, with the exception of their starting pitcher, Dave Bush. He is not going to be their opening day starter, but a lot of their regulars are in there today. Hardy and Fielder and Hart and Cameron and Hall, Weeks. Here's a ball down low for ball 3. 3-1 now to Mike Cameron.
Well, let's see if Samardzija can get out of this inning here. Make good pitch.
The lead at second by Corey Hart. Samardzija comes back, and he misses upstairs. 3-1 now to Cameron.
Now, he kind of looked like he let up a little bit on that ball to get it over. And you don't want to do that.
Cameron missed 42 games a year ago. He was suspended for a time. Still ended up with 25 home runs. The 3-1. Cameron swings and misses. 3-2. Mentioned Ryan Braun. You may have heard the pregame show. Judd Surratt talking about some of the injuries to the players on Team USA. Braun had to leave the United States game last night after the 8th inning. 3-2 pitch, high and inside. He walked him. Cameron draws the walk. The last out proving elusive to Jeff Samardzija. He got the first 2 men, Weeks and Duffy, but then Hardy doubled, Fielder tripled. Hart has doubled, and now Cameron has walked. But Ryan Braun left that game, Ron, with a rib cage issue, the same issue that sidelined him for about 10 to 12 games late in the year last season.
And they think that might have affected his December. He had a very bad December for Brian for him to.
Ronnie, you said December. Did you mean September?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There could have been a.
Now, Santa Claus, he had a tough time.
I mean, Santa Claus didn't hit at all. I mean,
no, not a thing. All hit, no field for Santa.
Another senior moment. Hello.
You've always said that about St. Nick. Here's a pitch outside to Bill Hall for ball one. 2-0 Milwaukee, bottom of the first.
September, yes. Brano is an outstanding hitter.
A true slugger.
Oh, boy.
And the 1-0 by Samardzija. There's a ball outside, and the count is 2-0. Outfield deep and straight away. It's about 400 feet to dead center here. Deep right center alley is 400. And about 380 to the gap in left center. Now the 2-0. Swung on, hit high in the air, deep left field, trouble. All the way back, Soriano looking up, that's gone. 3-run homer, Bill Hall. 5-0 Milwaukee.
Well, here's the situation, you know, and not only after two men were out, you know, he just, all of a sudden, when Fielder hit that double, he started to lose his command. And then being behind there, you know, if you're any kind of hitter, you're looking fastball, and Hall was, and he got it. That's the big problem.
This Brewer team can score some runs in a hurry. 5-0. And Jason Kendall takes high ball one.
And it doesn't help when you put men on base.
And fall behind in the count.
You got it.
All 4 hits have been extra base hits against Samardzija. Here's a ball outside, and the count 2-0. Kendall, a Cub for a short time in the 07 season, swings and fouls it at the plate, 2-1.
He's the everyday catcher for Milwaukee.
Speaking of everyday catchers, you may have heard Judd on the pregame show talking about Houston signing Ivan Pudge Rodriguez to a deal earlier today.
Oh.
He'll step right into that everyday catching spot down there. Inside, ball 3, 3-1.
I was surprised nobody else did. You know?
Me too.
I mean, really, he's still got some baseball left.
He's a catcher who can hit.
Yes.
Ball 4 to Kendall.
Well,
Samardzija laboring.
Really?
He has walked 2. He has given up 4 hits. And not a cheap hit in the bunch. 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run. And now Dave Bush, the 9th man to bat in the inning, faces Samardzija. 5-0 Brewers. Lee holding Kendall at first. Bush takes high, ball 1. These two teams played 16 times a year ago. The Cubs won 9 of the 16. And they'll play 17 more times during the regular season this year. There's a strike. They'll play 10 of those games before the All-Star break. I know the schedule makers, they make an effort to create division battles late in the season. And I always love that, Ron. The games in August and September where you have a heavy portion of the schedule against teams in your division. It always creates extra drama.
And the best team comes out.
Always. Yeah, you don't back into anything in baseball. Here's the 1-2. Bounce back to the mound off the glove of Samardzija. Picked by Terrio near second. Throws to Lee to first to get him. 1-6-3 in the inning finally is over. 5 runs for Milwaukee on 4 hits. At the end of 1, the score. Brewers 5, Cubs nothing.
The voice of the Cubs. Oh, yeah.
Second inning with Cubs legend Ron Santo, Pat Hughes, Judd Surratt is along for the ride. I'll learn his name. He's only been here a couple of games, but Judd did the pregame today. He'll do the postgame. And Judd Surratt will deliver some play-by-play for you in the 5th and 6th innings later on. Meanwhile, Aramis Ramirez will lead off the second inning. Ramirez with a homer and 4 RBIs this spring, hitting .280. Here's the pitch by Dave Bush. Ramirez hits a fly ball into shallow right, routine for Corey Hart, and he's got it for out number 1. 1 down, and here's Mike Fontenot. Thinking about the Cubs playing in Milwaukee, the Cubs will open the regular season 3 weeks from tonight down in Houston against the Astros, 3 games there. Then the Cubs will go to Milwaukee for the opening weekend. And when the Cubs arrive there for the Friday game, it'll be the Brewers' home opener. Here's a fastball strike to Fontenot. The Brewers open up with 3 games in San Francisco against the Giants.
Wow.
And then they play a Friday afternoon game on April the 10th. Cubs and Brewers up at Miller Park, a beautiful facility in Wisconsin. Fontenot with a count of 1-1. Mike with 3 homers this spring, pulls a ground ball to first, fair glove by fielder, takes it to the bag, out number 2. 2 gone, 5-0 Milwaukee, and here's Reed Johnson. Ronnie, considering the Cubs play the 3 games in Houston, you know weather will not be an issue, so you can go ahead and pencil in Rich Harden to pitch that Friday game up in Milwaukee. That's the 4th game of the regular season. Lou Piniella and Larry Rothschild are talking about skipping the number 5 starter in that opening week. So Carlos Zambrano, after pitching the opener on Monday night in Houston, can come back Saturday in Milwaukee.
Carlos has always pitched well in Houston. And he's hit a couple home runs, hasn't he, there?
Couple, yeah. And he, of course, pitched a no-hitter against them last September in Milwaukee, of all places. That was when the hurricane down in
You mean in
Houston.
Oh, yeah, in Milwaukee. God.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Oh, my gosh.
Reed Johnson waiting for Dave Bush. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Reed takes a strike. And then the final game in that series, it looks like it'll be Ryan Dempster on the Sunday. And you can put Ted Lilly in as the Cubs' opening day starter for the home opener at Wrigley. Johnson swings at a breaking ball, doesn't get it. Cubs will be home for the always great day, the home opener at Wrigley on Monday, April the 13th, a 1:20 game against Colorado, and Ted Lilly scheduled to start that game. The pitch. Johnson takes low and away. Lilly with a very important assignment for Team USA tomorrow night. The team needs to win to stay alive. And he's got the start tomorrow.
That's his first start, right?
It'll be his second.
Oh, second.
Now the 2-2. Line fair into the left field corner. Extra base hit, Reed Johnson. It skips all the way into the corner. Duffy chases it. A standing 2-bagger for Reed Johnson.
Now, that was a breaking ball, and boy, Reed stayed back on it, took it right down the line. Do you know what Lilly did his first outing?
He pitched about 3 or 4 innings, Ron. I want to say 3 innings. It was his first outing for Team USA. He did okay. I think he gave up a home run to somebody. I don't think he had a decision. The team lost that game, as I recall. That was to Venezuela, as Paul Bacco steps in. Now the pitch on the way to Bacco, and it's taken for a strike, 0-1. 5-0 Milwaukee here in the top of the second. Right-handed pitcher, left-handed batter. Bacco looking for his first RBI of the Cactus League. Johnson leads. Bacco swings and misses. 0-2.
Looked like an off-speed pitch. Fooled him.
Bacco played with the Cincinnati Reds a year ago, hit .217 with 6 home runs. He had 299 at-bats. He saw a lot of playing time for the Reds last year. Now the 0-2 from Bush. Curve line toward right. Base hit. Johnson around third, heading home. He will be on his way to the plate and score standing up. RBI single, Bacco on a hanging changeup, it appeared.
Yeah, exactly what it was. They just put it right in his eyes. And Hart, I don't know if he had trouble getting rid of that ball, because that ball was hit pretty hard, and I thought he's got a good arm. And I was surprised that Reed did not slide.
Cubs get on the board. They trail 5-1. Bacco with his first RBI of the spring, and here's Jeff Samardzija batting for himself. Taking a strike, and it's 0-1. Finishing the thought on Ryan Braun, the Brewers' everyday left fielder. He is coming back to Arizona after slightly injuring his rib cage in last night's game. Bouncing ball to short. Hardy gloves it. Underhand flip to Weeks. There's the force. That's the inning. Cubs get a run on 2 hits. We've played an inning and a half. Milwaukee 5, Cubs 1.
News Talk.
We mentioned the Cubs are home for the opener. That starts a nice, lengthy homestand at Wrigley Field. They'll play 2 games with Colorado, 4 with St. Louis, and then 3 with Cincinnati. That's a big series with the Cardinals. Begins on Thursday, April the 16th, and the 3-gamer with the Reds will commence on Tuesday night, April the 21st. There are tickets available for games at the ballpark. Give the Cubs a call at 1-800-THE-CUBS. If you are calling from out of state, call 866-652-2827. And you can always order tickets online by going to www.cubs.com. Cubs.com or 1-800-THE-CUBS. And if you go to that Cubs website, you also might find some juicy information about Ron Santo.
Juicy.
Very juicy. Ricky Weeks leads off the bottom of the second inning, takes outside for a ball. 5-1 Milwaukee. Samardzija struggled in that opening inning. Let's see if he can regroup and have a solid second inning.
Yeah. A 1-2-3 inning you'd like to see.
Yes, sir. Here's a pitch down low for a ball. But Ryan Braun, Ronnie, left with a rib cage issue.
Yeah.
I always get a kick out of the way the medical people put big fancy terms to these injuries these days. Weeks hits a high pop-up and a shallow right. Fontenot out. Hoffpauer in, and Fontenot makes the catch. One away. It used to be that a guy had a rib cage.
That's right.
Muscle. Now
be a bruise.
Yeah. Now, Ronnie, they call it either an oblique muscle.
Absolutely.
He's got an oblique issue.
I've heard so many. I'm wondering, what is that?
And now today we read in the notes that Ryan Braun had to leave the game with a strain to his intercostal. His right intercostal was strained. What does that mean? It means his side is sore. I'm a little sore, Coach, right here in the side. Here's the 0-1. Fastball is high to Duffy for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Got to be fancy, Ron. Can't just be a sore side. Now the 1-1. Fly ball, right field. Right center, in fact. Hoffpauer on his horse. Long run out there. Can't get it. That ball bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. Duffy really gave that one a long ride. That's a deep alley. 400 to the wall in right center. That ball really carried.
Yeah, it really did, and that was a fastball that was down. Duffy, did they just pick him up, or did they have him?
You can look up some info on Duffy here, Ron. The name is familiar. Chris Duffy at second. Here's J.J. Hardy batting. And the pitch on the way, and it's in there for a called strike. Duffy, I know why he sounds familiar. He's been in the Pirates organization the last few years. We've seen him in games against the Cubs. He spent last year in the minor leagues. Chris Duffy, 28-year-old. There is a strike from Samardzija. The count 0-2. And I'm surprised you don't recognize him, Ron. It said he spends his off seasons as the private banker of Ron Santo. It's a full-time job for him with all the money you got. Here's a pitch low and outside. It gets away from Bacco. And a wild pitch will send the personal banker Duffy over to third base.
You come up with some doozies. Oh, my gosh.
That'll be a wild pitch. Hardy had a double and started that 5-run rally in the first. Infield comes in for the Cubs with 1 away, bottom of the second, 5-1. Samardzija from the stretch needs a strikeout right here, the pitch. Ground ball to Lee, holds the runner, makes the play unassisted, 2 down. That's as good as a strikeout.
Yeah, that sure is, and there was no way they would have got him easy, Duffy, if he was going.
2 down. Lee with a routine play, but I still like the fundamentals. Lee grabbed that grounder, never took his eye off the runner as he shuffled over toward first base. Just as if to say, don't even think about trying to score. As Fielder now takes down low for a ball. If you're a youngster and you want to play first base, watch Derek Lee. Fielder cracked an RBI triple his first time. Samardzija fires from the stretch. Outside for a ball, 2-0. Be careful here.
Yep. He might be very anxious here, knowing that Samardzija has had control problems and be looking, and he was.
He swings and fouls it back.
Good rip.
2-1. Nice crowd in Maryvale today.
Yeah, it really is.
Fans on the grassy slopes out beyond the outfield barriers.
Monday.
This park holds about 7,000 in the seated area, and you can get another 2,000 or 3,000 on the slopes. Bounce to Lee, unassisted. Nope, he'll shovel it to Samardzija on second thought. The play goes 3-1, and the inning is over. The Brewers get a double. Duffy reaches third, but he is stranded. We've played 2 innings. The score, Milwaukee 5 and the Cubs 1.
I listen to the weather so I can dress properly.
With Ron Santo, Pat Hughes at Maryvale Baseball Park. Third inning, Cubs trail by 4 runs. Top of the order for the Cubbies against right-hander Dave Bush. Soriano took a strike. Next offering fouled away, and it's 0-2. Bush, a year ago, started the season in the Brewers' regular rotation. He really struggled early in the season. In fact, he was 0-3 with an ERA of near 7 after his first 4 games. He was dispatched to AAA Nashville. Soriano takes upstairs for a ball. And then, Ronnie, remember when Giovanni Gallardo blew out his knee? Dave Bush was called back to the big leagues when Gallardo was disabled. And Bush really did not pitch badly. Overall, a year ago, he was 9-10. His ERA was 4.2.
Yeah, that's a 500 pitcher.
He kept his team in most of the starts. And he figures to be part of the Brewers' rotation once this season gets underway. Soriano lines it to left, a base hit. I like the way he held the hands back on that curveball.
Well, that's what you got to do, Pat. I mean, it's a matter of staying back. You got to stay back on the fastball. You know, people don't realize that, but you've got to stay back. If you start your stride and bring your hands forward, you're dead. So you got to sit back, wait for the fastball, and if they throw the curveball in your back, you're going to hit it just like that.
Soriano with a base hit. Cubs have 4 hits against Bush. 5-1 Milwaukee in the third. Terrio batting. Ryan struck out in the opening frame.
Yeah, he did not have a good at bat, but knowing him, he's having quite a spring.
Shallow at third is Hall in on the grass. The pitch inside to Terrio. Bush did have the Brewers' only win in the postseason in that series against Philadelphia, when he pitched 5 1/3 innings and gave up only 1 run to the eventual world champion Phillies. Now the 1-0. Terrio takes a strike. He's reading about Chase Utley in the USA Today.
Yeah.
And he's back playing after hip surgery.
How about that?
He's a tough kid.
Yeah. But, geez, wouldn't he have it right when the season was over?
He had it November 24th, I believe, is what I read. Terrio bounces one to first. Fielder goes to second, 1, and the throw to first is in time. Bush covering a nice 3-6-1 double play turned by the Brewer infield.
That was a situation where he was back on his back foot after swinging at that ball, didn't get out of the batter's box that quick, hit it on the end of the bat. Ball was not hit that hard, but he didn't get out of that box quick. So that's a double play.
2 down, nobody on. Cubs trail by 4 here in the third, and here's Derek Lee. Derek will take a fastball inside, ball 1. Chase Utley, Ronnie, was 0 for 2 in his first game, but the Phillies' second baseman did have hip surgery November 24th. Came back much quicker than the Phillies or anyone thought he would. But he's the kind of a guy where that doesn't really surprise you. Just knowing how intense he is and how determined he plays the game.
He plays it, and he's a guy that if you look at him, you're surprised that he can hit as many home runs.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't weigh that much. I'd say he's about 6 feet, 6'1" maybe.
Pretty quick hands, though.
Oh, man. He stays back on the ball like Billy Williams did.
Nice compact stroke.
Yeah.
The 1-2 to Lee, low and away for a ball.
And he's tough. You watch him on it to break up a double play. It's clean, but it's hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All out all the time.
Yeah.
One of those guys that naturally you're not thrilled when he does things that beat the Cubs, but if you love baseball, Ron, he's just the kind of a ball player you like to watch.
Yeah, right.
Here's the 2-2.
It's a compliment.
Oh, absolutely. Down low for a ball, the count 3-2. Manny Ramirez of the Dodgers aggravated a sore left hamstring.
You know, I'm not surprised, Pat.
Lee bounces one over the mound. The shortstop Hardy near second, gloves overhands to first in time. to end the inning. No runs for the Cubs. We go to the bottom of inning number 3. It's Milwaukee 5 and the Cubs 1. Cubs with a new pitcher in the game. Right-hander Jeff Stevens will take over. Stevens takes over for Jeff Samardzija as we move to the bottom of inning number 3. 5-1, Milwaukee leading. We thank you for joining us today. Corey Hart leads off the inning for the Brewers and takes a strike.
Stevens, Pat, the organization likes him. He's got a good fastball, slider. I think he also throws, and I just saw a curveball.
Ronnie, we just had the 15th out of today's game, and that reminds me, here's the next pitch, line to right, slicing foul. The 15th out of the game is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on auto insurance. Geico. Brewers got all of their runs in the opening inning. Cubs got their only tally on Paul Bacco's single in the second. Here's a fly ball to deep center. Back toward the track is Johnson. That ball is gone. Corey Hart with a booming home run just to the left of dead center. And Milwaukee now leads 6-1.
Hanging curveball. Boy, oh boy. You've seen enough of those right now.
Corey Hart cracked 20 home runs a year ago for the Brewers. And he launched that one about 420 feet.
Oh, yes.
Here is Mike Cameron batting. So the Brewers again have their 5-run lead as Stevens fires outside for a ball. Getting back to Manny Ramirez, though, Ron, his statement in the paper as he pulled his hamstring and had to leave the Dodgers game yesterday, he said later on, maybe age is catching up with me. 36 years old, a guy that was looking for a 4-year contract. Settled for a 2-year deal, I believe. Here's a swing and a miss.
Yeah, an option here. It's his option.
But he's listed it day to day.
I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. When you see something like that, he didn't work out at all. He was, it's almost like...
Driven into left center field. That's into the gap. All the way to the wall, one hop. Soriano flags it down. It's a double for Mike Cameron. These guys can hit. They've got a lot of thunder in this lineup, Milwaukee.
Yeah, they do.
They have 7 hits today, and they've all been extra base hits. 4 doubles, 2 homers, and a triple.
That's not good.
Here's Bill Hall. He had the game's big blow, a 3-run homer in the first. The Brewers will score some runs if they stay healthy. Now, their big question mark would be pitching. And that's the question mark for virtually every team every year. Are we going to have enough pitching?
That's it.
Every team is going to win a few games, 9-7, 10-6. Here's a swing and a miss. But to win division titles and eventually World Series, you got to win the 3-2s and the 4-3s and the 2-1 ball games.
And you can't do that without a good bullpen. That's for sure. And a starting staff that's going to give you 6 innings.
Here's the 0-2 on the way. Curve is outside for a ball. Ron, I was thinking about the Cubs roster makeup, reading some comments in the paper. The Cubs probably, and this is not etched in stone yet, but probably they'll start the season with 12 pitchers, 5 starters and 7 bullpen guys, and then 13 position players. You'll have 8 playing every day, and then 5 extra guys on the bench to pinch hit or pinch run or play defense or whatever. Here's a pitch in there for a call, strike 3. Hall caught looking, 1 away. Now, sometimes these things can change. If you find that you have starting pitchers that can get you deep into the game, you might not need that extra bullpen guy.
That's right.
You know, but if you have starters that are only giving you 5 innings or 6, then you do need that extra bullpen guy.
Right. Then when you look at the fact that I think this year, when we got the off days, that he's going to go with 11 pitchers instead of 12. You know, he likes to go with 12, and so does Larry, but I think he's going with 11 pitchers and carry that extra infielder or outfielder.
Here's Kendall taking a curve outside. And again, these things always are subject to change. A lot has to do with how your team basically is playing and pitching and performing. 1 ball and no strikes on Jason Kendall. Another consideration, Ron, early in the season, although I'm not sure it really applies this year with the extended spring training schedule because of the WBC. But I know in years past, there was a thought early in the year when the weather is still cool and you haven't seen pitchers work 8 or 9 innings yet, you don't want to overdo them in that cold weather. Here's a high fly ball into shallow left. Soriano coming in. Does he see it? Yes, he does. Makes the catch. I'll tell you who did not see it was Ryan Terrio, the shortstop. 2 down.
Well, that's why they got the left fielder.
Reed Johnson also over to be in the picture. It's a clear blue sky today.
Oh, it's when you see a sky like this, that we all, you know, it's been always talked about a high sky here because of that sun, but blue like that, ball goes up, sun's in your eye, impossible. You'll see more drop balls in Arizona than any other place.
6-1 Milwaukee, bottom of the third, 2 down. The lead at second by Cameron, and Bush takes outside from Stevens, ball 2.
You know, what I think is pretty neat, I mean, not the fact that usually, you know, your game before you go home is usually in some nice weather, but this one's going to be in New York. A couple exhibition games. It's not going to be very warm, I wouldn't think. And but the good part is we'll be going to Houston playing in the Dome.
Outside ball 3, 3-1, Ron.
Which makes it a little easier for the pitchers and the hitters. It's great to break in that way.
Comfortable.
Yeah, very comfortable.
Now the 3-1. Stevens has just walked the pitcher, Dave Bush. Stevens gave up the homer to Hart, the double to Cameron, and now a 2-out walk to Bush. 2 on, a run in, 2 down for Ricky Weeks. Weeks has struck out and popped out in today's game. We are located in the press box just off to the first base side behind home plate. To our immediate right is one of those luxury suites. Here's the pitch on the way, and it's a curveball in there for a strike. 0-1.
Luxury?
Well, semi-luxury. But they have a nice little spread of food in there, Ron.
That's why it's...
I noticed the strawberries.
That's exactly why it's that way.
The strawberries made it luxury for
yes,
me. Here's
right.
a curve outside
Had to
for a
be
ball.
food. Had to be food. Because I didn't see anything luxury about that place.
They've also got cantaloupe, which makes it luxurious. But I spotted that about an hour before game time.
Yes, you do. You have a good smell.
I beg your pardon?
And great.
How do you mean that exactly?
Well, you smell the odor of anything that's being cooked.
We like to get the word odor on the broadcast as often as possible. Weeks waits for the 2-1 on the way. Stevens' pitch swung on and missed, and the count 2-2. But I did happen to notice they had a nice little spread of cheeseburgers, and they had strawberries, cantaloupe, some fresh lettuce over there. And now I'm off in the fifth inning.
Yes, I understand that.
I was watching the first 2 innings. Nobody was in that suite. All that good food going to waste. It broke my heart. Here's a chopper foul left side. But to my great disappointment, some rude people, Ron, have come into their own booth. And they are eating their own food. Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
And boy, do they look happy. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 6-1 Brewers lead. I'll have to go out and get us a couple of hot dogs.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Here's a liner toward right. That's going to fall for a base hit. Hoffbauer's going to throw toward the plate, rounding third and scoring is Cameron. Lee cuts off the throw, goes to third late for a sliding Bush. RBI single for Ricky Weeks. Milwaukee leads 7-1. Well, the walk to the pitcher Bush prolonging the inning for the base hit for Weeks.
Larry's been walking out of that mound a couple of times, and he's out there again. Just been early. They just came out swinging those bats.
And the batter, Chris Duffy, bottom of the third. That's the 8th Brewer hit of the day and their first single after 7 extra base knocks. And the left-handed batting Duffy climbs in. Here's the pitch on the way. Duffy takes a backdoor curve in there for a strike. Brewers really spreading their wealth. The first 7 guys in the order all have at least 1 base hit so far. Line to right center, another base hit and another run.
I mean,
Weeks motors to third on the RBI single by Duffy, and now it's 8-1.
Well, I can tell you that Stevens really having problems with the breaking ball. Boy, oh boy, he's just hanging it right there. Gee.
And here's J.J. Hardy. First and third, 2 down. Second big inning of the day for the Brewers, who scored 5 in the first. They have 3 here in the third. And here's a slow curve inside from Stevens, ball 1. Samardzija lasted 2 innings, was roughed up for 5 runs in the first. Here's a pitch backhanded by Bacco, almost a wild one. And that's ball 2. Cubs getting behind these Brewer hitters.
Yeah, gosh. And you got those fielders out there for a long time.
Fastball strike. Whenever you are facing a good hitting team and you fall behind in the count consistently, you're just asking for trouble.
Mm-hmm. I think we're in trouble. Although this is the Brewers and the Cubs.
Anything can happen.
That's right.
Stevens missing inside the count 3-1. Jeff is a 25-year-old, born in Berkeley, California. Here's a pitch popped up foul back near our booth and right near that luxury suite next door. And it's out of play, 3-2. The runner at first goes. The 3-2 pitch popped up.
Hung it.
The third baseman Ramirez calling and squeezing to finally end the inning. The Brewers score 3. We've played 3, and it's Milwaukee 8, and the Cubs 1.
The exclusive WGN Weather Center forecast.
Hey, Cub fans, now you can turn down the sound on your TV and watch the Cubs game while listening to us. Here's what you got to do. Go to the WGNradio.com contest page for details on the Sports Sync radio. It'll allow you to match the radio play-by-play with the video. Enter the online contest for your chance to win a Sports Sync radio or purchase one yourself at WGNradio.com. Pat and Ron in Maryvale, Arizona, almost said Maryvale, Illinois. As we go to the fourth inning, Michael Hoffpower leads it off and takes a strike from Dave Bush.
Is it Maryvale in Illinois also?
There is now, Ron.
Oh, I just wondered it was Maryvale instead of Vale. Could you straighten that out for me?
I'll ask Jerry Vale the next time I see him. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Michael Hoffpower. But this is located about 15 minutes west of Phoenix. Curve chopped foul toward first. And the field is in great condition.
Excuse me.
How is your cough button working these days, Ron? Is there a short in that cough button? These things happen. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Hoffpower. Fastball is high.
Judge. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Some of the
I said excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
It was Judd got me a Diet Coke and it was very cold and it got like
outside
it didn't
ball
go down real smooth.
Ball 4 to Hoffpower. See, I was ready to cover for you, Ron. I was going to say there's a foul tip.
Well, it was more. If it didn't come out, I was going to die.
We can't have that.
No. Oh gosh, that's terrible. Oh, that is absolutely terrible.
Walt Ellis, our engineer, has left the booth. As Aramis Ramirez checks in, Cubs trail 8-1. And a fastball is in there for a strike, and the count is now 0-1.
I like to see Ramirez get a hold of one
When you did that a minute ago, I thought of the former Dodger pitcher, Tim Belcher. Here's the 0-1 pitch now.
You always
Bush.
do.
Swinging a foul back. And the count is 0-2.
I had no control of that. I mean that.
Oh, I believe it.
I don't know if you ever a cold, any kind of soda, and it was like it wasn't going down, and there was a blockage, and I wasn't thinking that was going to happen. I was just waiting for it to move on, and it did.
We'll have a full discussion on blockage a bit later on as Ramirez takes high for a ball. 1-2.
This is live.
No editing.
No. And if I thought it was going to happen, I would have definitely hit the button.
Sometimes there's a short in those buttons. Here's the 1-2. Ramirez takes a curve high for a ball from Bush. 2-2. 8-1 Milwaukee, top of the fourth inning. Our engineer, Walt Ellis, has returned. Walt, if you could please test the cough buttons tomorrow. Ronnie seems to have a short in it. He tried to use it.
I didn't even reach for it.
Ronnie, I'm trying to cover for you.
No.
Here's the 2-2 pitch.
I'm guilty.
High for a ball. It's 3-2.
I'm guilty. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed for all the listeners.
You'll get over it. By the All-Star break, you'll be as good as new.
That's so unclassy. There's no class there whatsoever.
3-2. Ramirez pulls a grounder foul toward third.
Breaking ball on 3-2.
Speaking of class, Ronnie, we were delighted to see the great performance by our good friend John Shire of Duke University basketball. Duke winning the ACC championship yesterday. John Shire, the ACC tournament MVP.
Are you kidding me?
29 points yesterday. Line to left, a base hit for Ramirez down the line. Over to pick it up is Duffy. Stopping at second is Hoffbauer. Cubs have 2 on, nobody out here in the fourth inning, and the batter Mike Fontenot.
Whoa.
John Shire hit a bunch of threes, made 13 out of 15 free throws, and he was the tournament MVP, and Duke is now the number 2 seed in their bracket as they begin the March Madness this week in the NCAA tournament.
Is John still the sixth man, or?
Oh, no, he's a starting point guard for Coach K. But John, a Chicago native.
Oh, yeah.
The star of Glenbrook North a few years back when they won the state championship in Illinois back in, I think, 2005.
And of course, you got to be very proud because you play a lot of horse against him in basketball, and you beat him sometimes.
No, he's very, very tough to beat, but he's a great kid, and we have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, he is a super. Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah. Good luck to Duke.
Yeah.
Here is Mike Fontenot batting. Cubs trail 8-1. Let's see if the Cubs can rally. Here's a pitch low and in.
Who'd they beat last night?
They beat Florida State. Beat them by about 10. But one of John's high school teammates, Sean Wallace, Ron plays for Washington University, Division III, Washington and St. Louis, and they're in the Final Four. Here's the 1-0, taken for a strike. So good luck to Sean and John as they wind up this exciting college basketball season. Two great young guys.
Yeah, Duke had a tough time, but won that game against Boston.
Mm-hmm. A one-point victory.
Yeah.
Fontenot grounded out his first time. Bush glances back at Hoffbauer and deals. Curve, big chop slowly to short, charging Hardy. Tough play. Bare hand throws to first late. Infield single Fontenot. Bases loaded. Nobody out.
Very good.
Bush not in position to field the ball as he delivers. He falls off to the first base side, and that time that follow-through cost him a chance to make the play.
Yeah, and, Fontenot, being a left-handed hitter, he had it was a hanging curveball, and he just hit it on the end of the bat and kind of fell back a little bit, but with his speed, he beat it out.
Cubs are down by 7, but there's a lot of time left. Only the top of the fourth inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Reed Johnson wrapped a double his first time. Infield back for Milwaukee. Bush working in probably his final inning. There is some activity down the right field line in the Brewer pen. Bush fires. Johnson hits a pop fly to second base. Weeks makes the catch with the infield fly rule invoked. One away. One down, and here is Paul Bacco.
I think he's got to be upset at himself. You know, that first pitch, you know, sometimes you get a little bit anxious with the bases loaded. You want to get the ball in the air, and it was a curveball, but got it very thin.
Cubs baseball today brought to you by Square D. Square D, part of the power at Wrigley Field. Bacco wrapped an RBI single his first time. Let's see if Paul can come through again. Bush fires. Fastball sinks low and outside, ball one. Doug Deeds on deck as a prospective pinch hitter. Cubs being out-hit 9-6 and trail by 7 runs. Bush comes back. Bacco hits a pop fly. This won't get the job done. On the third baseline, fair territory, Hall makes the catch. Back-to-back infield flies. 2 down. And here's Doug Deeds.
Well, maybe Dees can drive a couple runs in here with 2 outs. That'll get a team started. Anytime you have 2 outs, you in on base and you come up with a hit, that's big.
Bush trying to work out of a bases loaded, no outs jam. The pitch to Deeds, and a curve is low, ball one. A little bit of a breeze has picked up, blowing out toward right and right center. The ball carries well here in Arizona. Milwaukee already with a couple of home runs, Hall and Hart. And now Deeds swings and misses. Pretty good rip. Came up empty, 1-1. Now Deeds obviously trying to keep the inning going, but he's a key man because Soriano is on deck.
Yeah.
And if Deeds can reach, Soriano could get the Cubs close with an extra base knock.
Indeed, with a grand slam home run would be great.
The 1-1. Low for a ball. Ronnie, is Bush throwing more off-speed stuff?
Yeah, he's throwing a lot of off-speed stuff, Pat, and keeping the ball down. Not throwing that fastball because, you know, he doesn't have overpowering fastball, but you start throwing a few of the breaking balls and change-ups, all of a sudden that fastball's something.
Swing and a miss by Deeds. He tried to
hold up.
High fastball. He chased it 2-2.
A lot of pressure on this kid.
Bases full of Cubs with 2 down. 2-2 on Doug Deeds. Bush comes set. The tall Brewer right-hander fires. Strike 3 call. The Cubs let a golden opportunity slip through their fingers. They leave the bags loaded. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Milwaukee 8, Cubs 1. The new Cub pitcher is right-hander Mitch Atkins. Atkins, the new Cubs hurler, as we go to the bottom of inning number 4. 8-1 Milwaukee. The Brewers got 5 in the first. A Prince Fielder RBI triple and a Bill Hall 3-run homer, the big blows. The Cubs got their only run in the second. Paul Bacco's single to drive in Reed Johnson. And then the Brewers put 3 more on the board in the third. A homer by Hart and run-scoring hits by Weeks and Duffy. So there you go. We go to the bottom of the fourth. First pitch from Atkins to Fielder is a strike. The right-hander comes back. Fielder takes low and in for a ball. Well, the Cubs are going to make some roster moves. Lou Piniella has not stated exactly when, but I would say any day now.
Well, he has. He mentioned it to me that he was going to make some moves on the 20th, around the 20th.
Here's the next pitch. It's in there for a strike. That would be toward the end of this week.
Yeah.
That would be Friday, in fact. But the Cubs right now with 54 guys in camp. They've still got 26 pitchers. There's a backdoor curve for a called strike 3. Atkins strikes out Fielder on a nice curveball. 1 away, and here's Corey Hart. So the Cubs will start to whittle it down and get it down to 25. Corey Hart has doubled and hit a booming home run. Fastball strike. Good pitch. All these pitching changes during the regular season, they'll be brought to you by Oil Express. For a quick oil change, go to Oil Express. Swing and a miss on a sharp slider that broke low and away from the right-handed batter. 0-2. Cubs trail 8-1 in the fourth. The pitch. Curve drilled a deep left, hooking in the corner and going foul. It did not have home run distance.
These curveballs are hanging up quite a long time.
One away, the tall, slender, athletic right-handed batting Corey Hart waits. This guy can beat you a lot of ways. He's got speed and power, steals bases. Here's a line drive, base hit left center. Soriano over to pick it up and hold Hart to a single, his third hit of the day. Cubs will continue tomorrow against the Dodgers. Carlos Zambrano will start for the Cubs. Ryan Dempster slated for action Wednesday when the Cubs take on the Giants. San Francisco will feature starter Randy Johnson, we understand, in that game. Here's a swing and a miss by Cameron. 10 hits for Milwaukee. Atkins working out of the stretch. Our next broadcast after today, this weekend, let's see, we'll be working Friday against San Diego and Saturday against the White Sox. Both games beginning at 3:05 Central Time. Atkins to the belt run for the 0-1 pitch to Cameron. He swings and misses, 0-2.
I see where Lou Piniella's of active managers is fourth. Tony La Russa has 2,461, which is amazing. Bobby Cox with 2,327. Joe Torre with 2,151. And Piniella now with 1,701 wins.
Here's a pitch, strike 3 call to Cameron. 2 down. Cameron didn't like the call of Dale Scott. Cameron walking back toward the first base dugout, kind of looking over his shoulder and barking at Dale Scott. 2 outs in the inning. Cubs trail 8-1 in the fourth, and here's Bill Hall. Ronnie, I think all 4 of those guys you mentioned could very likely end up in baseball's Hall of Fame.
No doubt about it.
As some of the greatest managers ever.
Yeah. Lou's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it.
But La Russa almost 2,500 wins. He and Bobby Cox.
Yeah.
and Joe Torre. I'd have to say all three of those guys are a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In the category of managing. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, oh, yes.
And Lou is getting close to being a lock.
Yeah. Well, he'll be, yeah, he's very close.
No balls and 2 strikes. 2 down, a man at first. Hall has homered and struck out. Now the 0-2. Swing and a miss. He got him. Atkins strikes out 3, gives up a single and nothing else. We go to the 5th. Judd Surratt will join Ronnie in a moment. After 4, it's Milwaukee 8 and the Cubs 1.
This is the 5th, Third Bank, 5th inning. Judd Surratt back with Cubs legend Ron Santo here at Maryvale Ballpark. The Cubs trailing as we head to the top of the 5th, 8-1. The Brewers with 5 in the first, 3 in the third. The Cubs, their lone run came in the second. Top of the order for the Cubs, Soriano, followed by Terrio, and then Lee. The new pitcher for Milwaukee is the left-hander, Lindsey Gullen. 32 years old, 6'2", 176 pounds. A non-roster invitee here of the Brewers. Spent all of last season in AAA Nashville. Soriano with 2 of the Cubs at 6 hits today. And Ron, when you had a chance to talk with Lou Piniella before the game, this was one of the guys he wanted to see some more offensive production from.
Exactly, and looks like he's in a groove. Couple hits today, and I wouldn't be surprised if he took one out.
Soriano launches one high to center field. The new center fielder is Lorenzo Cain. He'll drift over and give way to Hart, who gloves it for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Ryan Terrio. Terrio having an outstanding spring. Came into action today hitting .400.
Yeah.
First pitch from Gullen in the dirt for a ball. Terrio last year hit .307. 29 years old. Looks at a 1-0 fastball. And the count will even at 1 apiece. He's spending a lot of time this spring working with Alan Trammell.
Yes, he is. We talked to Alan on the pregame show, and he's improving at shortstop. There's no doubt. His bat, he's an excellent hitter. Takes the ball the other way a lot. He's very patient and aggressive.
The 2-1 up high. And Terrio ahead 3-1.
These guys are, when you look at Terrio, Fontenot, you're looking at gamers, guys that give their all at all times.
The 3-1 in there for a strike, so it's a full count now to Terrio. The outfield shallow, straight away. The infielders on the back near the grass. Terrio fouls one straight back. Ronnie, I would imagine one of the things that Alan Trammell had talked about was in the field he wants Ryan Terrio to slow things down. It's got to be hard when you're just making your way into Major League Baseball.
Absolutely. And, like I said,
this one lifted high in the air, coming in to grab it, a pop fly. Bill Hall about 10 steps in from third, and quickly there are 2 outs.
Yeah, it's like you've got to be ready at all times. And I've always said this as an infielder, and I think Ellen agrees. You've got to believe every ball is going to be hit to you, and you've got to set yourself. Not rush into it. Know exactly. I could tell if a ball was going to take a bad hop, and this is why you've got to be aggressive. He's very aggressive. He's got a good arm. He's got good range, but sometimes he just gets a little bit too quick.
Derek Lee stands in. The 0-1 pitch from Gullen. And that's going to be called a strike, so he's behind 0-2. Derek Lee here in Cactus League play, hitting only 200.
Yeah. Derek, you'd like to see him start.
This one bounced foul on the left side.
Taking a few balls out of the ballpark. I mean, so we got a long way to go. I mean, we're halfway through. But I'd like to see Derek, and as Lou said, you want to see the big boys show that power or have that ball jump off their bat. He's hit a lot of ground balls. I've watched him in batting practice, and he's really the ball jumps off Derek's bat. He was taking some out in Hohokam Park.
Called third strike.
So
Lee goes down. Hit. So the Cubs go 1-2-3 in the top of the 5th. We head to the bottom of the 5th here at Maryvale in suburban Phoenix. It's the Brewers 8 and the Cubs 1. Eight 8-1 Brewers as we head to the the bottom of the 5th. Carlos Marmol on the hill for the Cubs, making his 4th appearance of the spring and 2nd since coming back from the World Baseball Classic. Leading off will be Brewers catcher Jason Kendall, and the first pitch, a ball outside. Ron, on Saturday we saw Marmol give up a leadoff triple, hit 2 batters, and still get out of it unscathed.
I tell you, you'll see him during the year when he's at his best is when men are on base.
Kendall pops one into shallow left field, drifting over Soriano, makes the hop and the catch, and there's one away.
And he's just... Oh.
Ron, how do you see this battle shaping up between Marmol and Kevin Gregg? I don't even know if you can call it a battle for who will essentially be the Cubs closer.
I think it's going to be Marmol because I think we got what, in my personal opinion, I'm just saying mine, Lou's waiting to see if he's got that 6th and 7th inning guy. And if that's the case, Gregg will be a setup man and Marmol will be the closer. That's my feelings. And I think Marmol wants to close. I mean, he was dynamite last year. And, he could go 2 innings. That's the great part. But now I think that's the way it's going to work.
Lorenzo Cain is pinch hitting. He came on in the last inning spelling Mike Cameron. Cameron is getting back from a muscle pull on his side. A lot of that here early in spring training. The 0-2 pitch for Marmol. Breaking ball just outside. And the count moves to 1-2. I had a chance to talk with Kevin Gregg the other day. He is a big man.
Oh, yeah. 6'6". Yeah, he's got good stuff. He's very cool on the mound. I mean, and great fastball, good breaking ball. Either one, but they're both so valuable. To have a tandem like that is great.
Marmol now with an even 2-2 count on Lorenzo Cain. The outfield straightaway. A lot of beach towels and blankets out on the outfield hillsides. A spectacular 80-degree day here in suburban Phoenix. The Cubs here in spring training 9-10. The Brewers 7-2, and the Cubs will play the home opener, as Pat and Ron mentioned, at Miller Park on April 10th. Down on strikes goes Cain, and so now there's 2 away. Ron, just to follow up on Kevin Gregg, I saw the other day where he said, I have no qualms about saying I want to close, but I'll perform wherever they put me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Lou believes very strongly and makes a lot of sense. That 7th and 8th guy, that's how you get to your closer. You know what I'm saying? So they're just as valuable.
Ricky Weeks will stand in. Struck out in the first. Popped out in the second, and then singled back in the third. He looks at a ball from Marmol. Cubs trailing 8-1. Weeks, a big project for the new coaching staff, virtually new coaching staff here in Milwaukee. Ken Maka, the new manager here in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Weeks strikes out a lot, and he's been He's injury prone. He's come up with some, he's got good pop with that bat, but for a leadoff hitter that, it's not like, Soriano strikes out a lot, but yet he'll hit 30 home runs and drive in 90 runs. Weeks has got to be on base. He's mainly, he's got power, but he's more a guy to be a setup man.
Weeks looks at a strike. It's now 2-2. Ricky Weeks, the second player taken in the 2003 draft, and Dale Swaim, who was the interim manager in Milwaukee last year after Ned Yost was moved aside. That's his big project. One of the things that he said he was trying to do was to stop that waggle at the plate, that Gary Sheffield waggle, and he checks a swing on an outside breaking ball, and the count moves to 3-2.
Yeah, it's more of this with the hands that he popped the bat, and then it slows you down. Once that pitcher releases the ball, you've got to be quiet and then just use those hands short stride. And I've noticed he has stopped that wiggle.
Weeks falls and offering off, still 3-2. Reed Johnson a good ways back in center. It's a blue background for the hitting background here at Maryvale Ballpark. Barmel's pitch, an outside fastball misses.
Just missed.
So Weeks draws the 2-out walk, and that'll bring up Chris Duffy with a ringing double back in the second and then singled back in the third. So he's got a couple of hits and an RBI.
Boy, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous day. This is what spring training is all about. You got to enjoy it.
And lots of Cubby Blue as usual. Yesterday
always,
in Tucson,
yeah.
Ron, sold out, almost 12,000.
Yeah. Well, here too on a Monday.
Yep.
You're close. I mean, this holds 7,000 stands. Probably holds about, I'd say 9,000.
There were so many Cub fans here, you almost didn't make it up for Cub Central
I know
pregame.
it. Jeez. But I can't. I just can't not sign. I mean,
This one drilled by Duffy out to left field. Drifting back is Soriano. He gloves it with one hand, and that'll retire the side. So the Brewers, no runs, no hits. And at the end of 5, it's the Brewers 8 and the Cubs 1. We move now to the top of the 6th. Micah Hoffpower leads things off. For the Cubs, it's 4, 5, and 6 here. Trailing at 8-1. Ron Santo eating a hot dog. No bun in new record time. Although my stopwatch, I didn't know if I started it on time.
Well, you were exactly right. Yeah, no, I don't eat the bun. I eat the hot dog.
Hoffpower fouls one off. This looked like it hit the knob of the bat. And the count now 1-1. How was the dog?
Oh, I devoured it.
Hoffpower floats one down the left field line. This will drift foul, racing over to get it, and Bill Hall makes an over-the-shoulder catch for the outs.
Boy, that was a good play right there. That's not easy to go that far down the line in foul territory and with your back and make that catch. That was great.
So Aramis Ramirez will stand in. He's 1 for 2 on the day. Singled back in the 4th. Lindsey Gullen still on the mound for the Brewers. In relief, Dave Bush started things off. And the first pitch to Ramirez is a strike in there. Ron, I was talking with Aramis a little bit about some of the pitches he likes to get, the pitches that he struggles with. Said, listen, I'm a Dominican player. I'm aggressive. I like that fastball down and in. And he drills a breaking ball down the left field line. This will just drift foul. If you could have told the pitcher where to serve it, Ron, when you were up at bat, where did it need to be?
Everybody's going to be like Ramirez. You know, he likes the fastball. I mean, in order to be a major league hitter, I feel, and if you got the gift, you've got to. I'm a strong believer. You got to look fastball at all times. As I said earlier, you got to wait on the fastball, and if they throw the curveball and they hang it, make a mistake, you're going to go after a lot of bad pitches. But if they make a mistake, you'll hammer it.
Another breaking ball, and this one lobbed out to left center field. It's deep and gone.
All right. Yes.
Aramis Ramirez sort of reached out with the hands, able to get the bat through the hitting zone, and this one floats over the sign where it says 378, and the Cubs now trail it 8-2.
Now that's exactly the kind of power he has, and he looked like, you know, he stepped out there, but he stayed back with his hands, and he just popped it. And that ball just carried out of here. It looked effortless. That's what Lou likes to see. He wants to see that.
So Mike Fontenot will stand in. Fontenot 1 for 2 on the day, and he swings to the first pitch for a strike.
Little Babe Ruth, boy. I mean, this. You know that Fontenot holds the home run record for LSU with 17 home runs in a year. Can you imagine that?
No,
it's amazing.
Well, yesterday when he hit the homer at Tucson Electric Park, went opposite field and deep.
I mean, he's got some pop, and he's another gamer. I mean, he loves the play, and he gives you 100%. Plus, him and Terrio both run well.
The 2-1 down low in the dirt. It's 3-1 now.
And, of course, they were the tandem at short and second that won the College World Series with LSU.
3-1 from Gullen. In there for a strike. Outfield straightaway. Bill Hall has moved about 15 feet left of third base. The 3-2 bounced wide and in to the Brewers dugout.
You know, I talk about hot power hitting left-handed, Judd, and and he hangs in there very well. Same with Fontenot. They're very good. They keep that right shoulder right there.
The 3-2. Swing and a miss.
Went after a high fastball.
And Fontenot goes down on strikes. And that'll bring up Reed Johnson. Johnson scored back in the second. He doubled on the third base line. Johnson last year playing his first season as a member of the Cubs. Came close to cult status for some of his catches, and they love the goat beard, Ron.
Oh, he's something. He's another gamer. You can go get him. That was one of the best plays I've ever seen. I mean,
the catch in Washington?
Oh, gosh. Unbelievable.
1-1 here to Johnson. The Cubs with a run on the board here in the sixth. The solo shot by Aramis Ramirez. And this breaking ball swung on and missed. And it dribbles by Jason Kendall. So 1-2 now. 2 down. Paul Bacco waiting on deck. Bacco drove in the other Cub run. Swing and a miss from Johnson. And Kendall will reach out and tag him to retire the side. The Cubs do get a run on one hit. Aramis Ramirez with a drive out to left center field. We're through 6.5. The Brewers 8 and the Cubs 2. We head now to the bottom of the sixth. All sorts of changes for the Cubs. The most important, I suppose, the new pitcher, Luis Vizcaino. Vizcaino this spring doesn't have a decision. This is his fifth appearance, a 5.40 ERA. He came over from Colorado in the Jason Marquis deal. The Brewers with an 8-2 lead. J.J. Hardy, Prince Fielder, Corey Hart, 3, 4, and 5 to start things off. J.J. Hardy 1 for 3 on the day, a double, and scored back in the first.
Vizcaino is a guy that's got a good sinking fastball, slider, changeup, curveball.
First pitch in there for a strike. Jake
An
Fox.
array of pitches.
Jake Fox, the new Cub first baseman. The entire infield has changed for the Cubs. Here's the 0-1 from Vizcaino. Belted to short. Grabbed on a line by Andreas Blanco. It's one away.
Nice play.
Prince Fielder will stand in. Fielder tripled and then scored on an error credited to Mike Fontenot back in the first. Fielder last year 8th in the National League with 34 homers. The big burly first baseman will stand in. Take a look at Vizcaino.
Last year, he decided to come to spring training, and he was a vegetarian for some reason. I'm not lying. And he didn't hit for power at all. And he had a very slow start with the home runs. And then I think he went back to eating what he ate before.
This one lined to Fox at first base for an out.
It is.
Whatever he's eating, animal, vegetable, mineral, whatever it is, he's healthy.
He's healthy. He's very healthy.
He's healthy. So Corey Hart will stand in.
It was amazing. I even said to Pat, I said, gosh, what did he hit the year before? How many? 30 home runs? 50 home runs, excuse me. I forgot that. He had 50 home runs, and then he decides to become a vegetarian. I don't know. I don't quite understand that.
He's off to a slow start, and Ken Maka talked to Dale Swaim, and he said, listen, he's normally a slow starter. Don't worry about it. He will be fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he comes out. He's slow. I mean, really slow start. He hit 30 home, as you said. What did he hit, 30 last year?
34. Corey
34,
Hart.
yeah.
A swing, he fouls one off. 0-2. Hart 3 for 3 on the day, including a homer back in the third. Ken Maka had a terrific line today, Ron, when we were talking about Ryan Braun getting injured in the World Baseball Classic, and he said injuries happen. There are certain things you can't control, the weather and your wife and injuries.
That's pretty good. That's very true. Very, very true.
Hart takes the ball. It's now 1-2. Corey Hart last year, third in the National League with 45 doubles. Vizcaino working from the stretch. The 1-2. Hart swing and a miss. He'll go down on strikes. So the Brewers 3 up and 3 down in the sixth. We'll head to the seventh inning. Pat Hughes is back from devouring strawberries. He'll take you to the rest of the way. At the end of 6, the Brewers 8 and the Cubs 2.
President Obama
Joey Gathright will lead off the Cubs' seventh inning against the left-hander Sam Narron. First pitch swung on and missed, and it's 0-1. 8 runs, 10 hits, and no errors for the Brewers today. For the Cubs, 2-7-1. Cubs fell behind 5-0 in the first, and they've trailed all day. Gathright hits a big chop to third, glove by Hall. Spins, throws low, but in time to first.
Boy, is he fast.
1 away.
It's lightning down there. That ball gets over his head. It's a definite base hit. Almost was.
Gathright had 3 steals yesterday down in Tucson in the game against Arizona.
Yeah.
He bounces out to start the 7th.
He's the type of guy, Pat. I think we have enough hitting that if you could keep him, late in the innings, steal a base here or there, steal a base, and then score.
It's a great asset to have.
It is.
The lefty fires a strike to the new Cub catcher, left-handed batting Mark Johnson. And the count 1-1. Narron, lanky lefty, comes back. The ball dribbled on the ground to the right side. Weeks will throw out Johnson for out number 2. 2 down here in the top of the 7th. And So Taguchi batting for the Cubs.
So Taguchi.
Ron, I was looking at a story in the USA Today this morning about the Rule 5 draft.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting article by Bob Nightingale. The Brewers had a kid in the draft by the name of Eduardo Morlan, 23-year-old from Cuba. His family defected from Cuba about 10 or 11 years ago. He has since been put on waivers, but the article was interesting because here's a drive to right center, long run for Cameron. Cameron fighting the sun, makes the catch in deep right center. Good catch. Inning over. More about the Rule 5 draft story when we come back. After 6.5, the score, Brewers 8 and the Cubs 2, and it's time for the 7th inning stretch here in Maryvale.
WGN.
Veteran left-hander Mike Stanton pitching for the Cubs here, bottom of the 7th inning in Maryvale, Arizona, with Ron Santo and Judd Surratt. Pat Hughes in the Cactus League with the Brewers leading 8-2. Ron, we were talking about the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
It gets a little complicated, but basically the Rule 5 draft takes place at the winter meetings in December every year, where teams establish their 40-man rosters. Now, the players not protected on the 40-man roster. If they've been in the minor leagues 4 years or more, they can be drafted, the so-called Rule 5 draft, by another club. You pay the original team $50,000. Now, the kid has to stay in the big leagues for a full year on his new team, or he can be offered back to his original club. Last year, there were 6 guys that stayed in the big leagues all year as a result of that Rule 5 draft. But I did not realize until I read this article that there have been some very, very big-name players over the years that were part of that Rule 5 draft. Mm-hmm. One was a contemporary of yours, one of the all-time greats, as Stanton delivers a strike to the pitch to Trot Nixon. 8-2 Milwaukee in the bottom of the 7th inning. How about Roberto Clemente?
How about that?
Here's a line drive to second, backhanded on the fly and caught by the new Cubs second baseman for out number 1. That is not Mike Fontenot. And we'll identify him in a moment. Judd Surratt is giving me hand signals. I think he just ordered 2 to go of something. Louis Rivas playing second base for the Cubs. Thanks, Judd. Lots of changes here. But Roberto Clemente, Ron, back in 1954, was a part of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Imagine that. The Boys of Summer, the great Dodger teams with Jackie Robinson and Duke Snider and Gil Hodges and Roy Campanella and Don Newcomb and that bunch. Can you imagine if you would have added Roberto Clemente to that team? They might have been a dynasty. But the Dodgers left Roberto Clemente unprotected. He was picked by the Pirates, and, of course, the rest is history as he went on to a Hall of Fame career. But, you know, what's really surprising about that is the pitch is fouled away. How could you leave a guy like that off your 40-man roster, a guy with such unbelievable talent?
Yes.
Isn't it amazing?
Amazing.
But you never know. Some guys are not as impressive as real young kids. Here's a foul off to the right. But, Ron, as they develop and they get bigger, they get stronger, they get quicker, they get smarter.
Smarter. That's the key.
It all starts to come together, and they become a new player.
And usually, though, Pat, you know, you could tell that somebody has this natural ability. I mean, even myself, when 18 years old, which I felt very strongly I had a gift, but I could see other players.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Hall is out on strikes. 2 down. Ron, go ahead.
And I'm speaking when I was 18 years old and we had a 3-week camp, and I seen other players with just as much talent as I feel I had, but they didn't have that drive right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't stand out. And then there was a lot of players, Pat, that think they can get by just with that, and you can't.
Coasting.
Exactly. And you've got to be able to get smarter, understand the game of baseball with the talent that you have.
Carlos Corporon, the batter, takes a strike. 8-2 Milwaukee, bottom of the 7th. 2 down, nobody on.
We were talking to Ellen Trammell, Judd and I, and Alan was talking about both Fontenot and Terrio, that they probably...
Fly ball to right. Going back is So Taguchi. Routine play. He's got it to end the inning. We'll continue with this discussion when we come back. Nice inning by Stanton. 1-2-3 at the end of 7. Brewers 8, Cubs 2. Sam Narron will pitch another inning for Milwaukee as we move to the 8th inning. The Cubs trail 8-2. And Louis Rivas is going to lead it off for the Cubs. We're talking about some of the other Rule 5 selectees who have gone on to bigger and better things. We mentioned Roberto Clemente. How about Johan Santana?
Oh, my God.
Johan Santana, the Cy Young Award winner for the Minnesota Twins. He was a Rule 5 draft.
Well,
and that was...
I think I could understand that better than I can Clemente, because a lot of pitchers develop later in their career.
But the Houston Astros had Santana at one time in their system, left him unprotected. There's a fly ball by Rivas, shallow right, coming in hard with a relatively easy chance. He's got it for out number 1. The new right fielder is Brad Nelson for Milwaukee. 1 away, top of the 8th. Johan Santana, he was drafted in that Rule 5 situation, as were Shane Victorino. Shane, the World Series champion Phillies, I think he was part of the Dodgers organization. And Dan Ugla of the Florida Marlins. He was a Rule 5 guy.
Oh, my God.
There's a lot of good players on this list, Ron.
Yeah.
So you never really know in baseball. 1 away, top of the 8th. Another kid, the Kansas City Royals closer, Joakim Soria. Now, he quietly saved 42 games for the Royals last year. I did not realize that.
I didn't either.
But they were a losing team, and when you play for a losing team, you can do things under the radar and do it kind of quietly. But 42 saves is a very good year. Line to right, base hit. That ball gets all the way into the wall. Jake Fox will have a 1-out double. Fox rifling one into the opposite field, and he scampers into second with a 1-out 2-bagger.
You know, here's a situation where Jake Fox has been in the minor leagues quite a while, Pat, and he's a very good hitter, but, you know, he caught, but they figured, you know, he doesn't have a position, and that's tough unless you're going to take a right-hander, put him on the bench for some power, and a pinch hit only. But Jake's had some good springs.
Jason DuBois batting for the Cubs. Cubs trail by 6. DuBois takes low and in from the lefty Narron, ball 1.
And he's another guy, DuBois, that's been in the minor leagues. He's hit 20-some home runs in the minor leagues. A couple times.
The big boy.
Yeah.
Takes outside for a ball, 2-0.
An outfielder.
But I'm reading some of the comments of general managers regarding that Rule 5 draft, and one of them said there's no room to protect every single guy that you like. You have to leave some unprotected. Liner to left, a base hit. Gloved on one hop by Duffy. Stopping at third is Fox. A clean single for DuBois. First and third, 1 away. And Bobby Scales will try to take a bite out of that 6-run deficit that the Cubs are looking at. Back-to-back hits, a double by Fox, a single by DuBois. These young guys, even though it's a lopsided game, these are important at-bats for them.
Sure.
Scales takes inside, Ron.
And, you know, I'm just amazed at the 5-rule draft. I mean, you know, it's amazing that many good players.
Here's a pitch down low, especially a guy like a Clemente. That's the one that made me do a double take. And did I read that correctly? Yep, the great Roberto Clemente. And he had so many skills. That's what really surprises me. Here's a smash foul down the left field side. Clemente had a tremendous throwing arm. He had great power. He could hit he was one of the best opposite field hitters, one of the best bad ball hitters that I ever saw.
And
he hit for an average.
He could run.
He could
fly.
steal
bases.
Wait, just thinking of him as a young guy.
The best arm I've ever seen.
Really?
Oh, when he threw out Don Landrum from right field corner. Oh, I couldn't believe it. Third base.
8-2 Milwaukee. The pitch, Scales takes down low for a ball.
Landrum was center fielder so he could run.
Now the next offering. Ground ball, left field, base hit. A run is in, stopping at second to Boyce. Run scoring single Bobby Scales. Now it's 8-3 Milwaukee.
And I want to read this for that Cub player that walks, and for every Cub player that walks, Walgreens will make a $100 donation to JDRF, and we really thank you, Walgreens. You've been a great friend.
3 straight Cub hits in the inning. Now Rivas batting. Here's the pitch on the way to Louis Rivas, and he takes a strike. 0-1. A double and a pair of singles by the Cubs in this 8th inning. Each team with 10 hits. The pitch. A fly ball, pop fly foul, right side, playable near the coaching box. And making the catch is the new Brewer first baseman, and that is Scott Thorman, 2 down. 2 gone. The new Cub hitter will be Wellington Castillo. He homered yesterday down in Tucson. Brewers 8, Cubs 3, top of the 8th, 2 down, 2 on. Did we get the attendance yet today here in Maryvale? Now the pitch. Wellington Castillo takes down low for a ball. Sounds like he could be the president of some country, doesn't it?
Yes.
President Wellington Castillo said today. I'd listen to what he said. Here's the stretch. And the pitch. Castillo takes inside, and the count 2-0.
Wellington. That's something.
I got no beef with that name.
No.
2 balls, no strikes on Castillo, the pitch. Backdoor curve is high. Ball 3, 3-0. Ronnie, you and I will go back to work on Friday. The Cubs will swing back into action against San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
You and I will have that game at 3:05 Central Time. And then the following day, Saturday the 21st, against the White Sox over in Glendale. There's a strike to Castillo, 3-1. A long ball could get the Cubs right back in this game. They have been down since the first. Castillo smacks one foul on the ground past third. Traveling time for the runners. Full count, 2 down. Nice crowd here in Maryvale today. 9,354.
Wow. Yes.
The 3-2. Runners go. The pitch hit in the air. Left field and deep. Back goes Duffy to the wall. Gone.
Oh, my gosh. That's the second home run in 2 days.
Wellington Castillo cracks a 3-run homer, and just like that, it's an 8-6 Milwaukee lead.
Wow.
That makes it feel like a Cubs-Brewers game.
Well, I was telling Judd about the fact that you never know in that 8th and 9th inning what happens.
Now, Gathright, if he can get on, all of a sudden the Cubs would have the tying run at the plate. Mark Johnson is on deck. Gathright took a strike. 4 hits in the inning. Here's a bunt to the third base side of the mound. Narin has it and throws out Gathright to end the frame. But the Cubs score 4 and climb back into the picture. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Brewers 8, Cubs 6. Back in Arizona, Cubs trail 8-6. Chad Fox, a right-hander, the new Cub pitcher, facing Milwaukee here in the last of the 8th inning. Both teams going to their benches with great frequency by this late hour. First pitch by Fox is in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Cubs getting closer with a 4-run rally in the top of the 8th. Here's a swing and a miss. Good sharp breaking ball, and the count now is 0-2. Lorenzo Cain is the batter. Judd Surratt has put a headset on. Ron Santo has left for the day. Here's a curve. It's low and outside for a ball. It's 1-2. Ron had an appointment at the salon, and so he had to leave. So Judd has climbed into his chair. Here's the next offering, down low for a ball, and the count 2-2.
My appointments there are usually very brief, Pat.
So are Ron's. Cubs out hitting Milwaukee 11-10. Fox coming back. The pitch fisted foul over our heads and back out of play. Cubs baseball today brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Whenever the Cubs score late and score some insurance runs, they're always brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Here's a drive into right center that'll find the gap. That ball goes all the way to the wall. Extra base knock for Lorenzo Cain. He speeds to second and holds on with a double. Cain, a hot prospect in the Brewers system. I have read about him several times. And they say that it's only a matter of time before he's a big league ball player. And you can tell he's got some skill just watching him very briefly. Cain with a double, and here is Ricky Weeks. Judd is preparing his post-game show, which you can hear immediately following Cubs baseball today. Anything big happen in the world of sports to your knowledge, Judd?
I will start surfing as we speak.
Surfing is not normally a sport we cover on the post-game show, but apparently it will be today. I take everything very literally, Judd. I hear the word surfing, I think of a guy on the beach. Here's the stretch by Fox, the pitch on the way. Bunted foul left of the plate, and the count 1-1 strike.
I don't have as many flowered shirts as I should. If we're going to talk about surfing and etc.
No balls and one strike on the left-handed batter. Trying to identify all these changes for you. Herman Iribarren waiting for Fox. The pitch on the way. Swing and a foul back. And the count is 0-2. Well, Judd will have the post-game show right after our game today. He'll have some scores of the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League and recap the scoring of this game for you and maybe play some highlights. Milwaukee has led all day long. Fastball is low and inside to the left-handed batter. 2-2. A few folks have left the ballpark. A great majority have hung around. 9,354. A great crowd today. Warm and sunny day in Phoenix. Swinging a chop foul out of play. Wellington Castillo with a 3-run homer in the top of the inning to make it a ball game. Cubs still trail by 2. Now time called at the plate. Jeff Samardzija struggled in the opening inning today, gave up an RBI triple to Prince Fielder and a 3-run homer to Bill Hall. Milwaukee built up an immediate 5-0 lead. Swing and a miss. Fox got him with a nasty breaking ball, one away. Fox trying to rejuvenate his big league career after numerous arm problems, including major elbow surgery. He faces another left-handed batter. This is Brad Nelson. Fox glancing back at Cain and the pitch. Fastball up and away, ball 1. Judd, I'm sure our listeners are aware that you've been working pre and post and between periods on the Chicago Blackhawks games on WGN. Here's a fly ball to deep left, but it should be playable for Du Bois, battling the sun. He gloves it for the second out in the inning. Du Bois, the big left fielder, put that glove right up in front of his eyes to block out the sun, kept his eye on the ball, and made the play. 2 down. I saw where they suffered a tough loss to, was it the Islanders last night?
A kid named Peter Menino, making his first NHL start, stood on his head, stopped 40-plus pucks. And those nights will happen. Sometimes it only takes one player, and in this case, a goaltender that can change the entire outcome, and he did. They outshot him badly, but suffered the loss.
Check swing by the new Brewer batter. This is Alcides Escobar, another can't-miss prospect. And the count is 0-1 as he checked his swing. That's an interesting phrase. The goalie stood on his head.
That he did.
He saved everything. Is that what he did?
Yes, he did.
Swinging a chop foul back. I wonder where that phrase originated. No balls and 2 strikes. I kind of like it.
Is there a baseball equivalent?
I've seen Ronnie late at night stand on his head a few times. Had nothing to do with the ball game, though. 0-2. 2 down, last of the 8th. 8-6, Milwaukee leads. Now the 0-2. Breaking ball, check swing, almost got him. The young player just able to lay off, and the count 1-2.
Pat, I see a couple interesting scores from around spring training games today. One, the Detroit Tigers coming from behind, beating the St. Louis Cardinals 7-6. Todd Wellemeyer, the former Cub, getting shelled for 4 runs in 5 innings.
Pitch down low for a ball, and the count is now 3-2. Well, Wellemeyer, though, figures to be a prominent part of Tony La Russa's starting rotation. I was reading about Chris Carpenter. The first outing he had over in Florida, very encouraging for the Cardinals. Carpenter has not done much pitching at all for the last 2 years. Had major elbow surgery, Tommy John ligament replacement surgery. Bounce toward the middle, base hit past the diving Blanco. A run is in. Escobar singles sharply up the middle, and the Brewers get an insurance run as Kane comes in to score. Escobar rolled one right up the middle. I liked what the shortstop Blanco tried to do. He dove valiantly in back of second, knowing that he could not make the play at first, but he might have held the runner at third. He was not able to knock it down, but you like to see that kind of an effort. 9-6 Milwaukee. And now the batter is Thorman, and Thorman swings and fouls it away. But the Cardinals have, let's see, Kyle Loesch, and they'll have Carpenter if he's healthy, and Wellemeyer, Adam Wainwright. Cardinals are going to be good. They got Dennis Reyes for their bullpen. Their bullpen needs to be kind of sorted out. They are without Jason Isringhausen to perform as closer. Jason's been their closer, I want to say, for about 5 or 6 years. But he is no longer with them. But never forget about the Cardinals. And as a Cub broadcaster or a Cub fan, time and again, you say that. No matter where they are in the standings, never forget the Cardinals.
A very different bullpen for the Brewers this year, especially with Trevor Hoffman coming in as the new closer.
He's been sharp, they tell me here, Judd. Hoffman has made 3 strong appearances so far for Milwaukee. The runner goes, the pitch hit deep to right. This is back toward the wall. Long run, so Taguchi gets there and makes the catch near the warning track, about 20 feet off the line in the right field corner area. The Brewers get a run on 2 hits off Chad Fox. We go to the 9th. The Cubs need to rally. It's Milwaukee 9 and the Cubs 6.
Good plays. Grand slam.
Chris Narveson, the new left-handed pitcher for Milwaukee. We go to the ninth inning. Cubs are down by 3, being out-hit 12-11. Left-handed batting catcher Mark Johnson stands in for the Cubs here in the top of the ninth. In the bright sunshine, the lefty Narveson fires a strike, and it's 0-1. So Taguchi on deck. And then Andres Blanco. Curveball is in there for a call, strike 2. Cubs will keep on playing every day virtually in the spring. Tomorrow, Carlos Zambrano faces the Dodgers. Curveball called, strike 3. 1 away. Johnson fan in that lefty against lefty matchup. 1 away. Zambrano throws against the Dodgers tomorrow, and Ryan Dempster scheduled to start Wednesday against the Giants. Milwaukee, they have not yet announced their opening day starter, and again, they open in San Francisco against the Giants. Some of the Brewer media folks are saying that Jeff Suppan, the veteran, quite possibly could be their opening day starter because you always try to get a guy on a 5-day rotation, even a month or two before it actually happens. Here's a swing and a foul back. So as soon as spring training starts, Judd, you're well aware of this, you start back timing from opening day so that your starter will be right in line every 5th day to be ready on opening day. Here's a chopper foul, and they tell me that right now that guy to be in that normal rhythm would be Jeff Suppan.
Well, it sounds like the Cubs, the first time they're going to face the Brewers on April 10th, it could be Braden Looper, who has been moved into a starting role, and he was supposed to pitch, Ken Maka said, today in the bullpen. And if he doesn't have any setbacks, he would be on track to start that first game against the Cubs.
The interesting thing about Suppan starting instead of Giovanni Gallardo is the fact that much, I think, has been made this offseason about Gallardo becoming the ace of the staff. Here's So Taguchi fouling it away. Gallardo, the young guy who had the serious knee injury, missed a major portion of last year, but he's got a world of talent, a lot of poise, and he will be, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a very good big league pitcher. But the Brewers are trying to not put a lot of pressure on him. They're trying to say, you're not the ace. Don't worry about carrying this whole team on your young shoulders. He's only 22, 23. So they might not start him on opening day and put him in the second or third spot in their rotation. There's a curve outside for a ball, and the count is 2-2.
Pat, just looking back at the rotation last year for the Brewers and CC Sabathia in particular, what really stands out, the 7 complete games that he pitched last year, a guy that's such a workhorse, it's going to be difficult for anybody to come in and combine to even put that together. What sort of a stress that will put on the Brewers pitching staff this year?
Fastball low and in. He'll be very tough to replace, Judd. CC Sabathia, acquired in a trade in July by Milwaukee from Cleveland, and he, more than anybody else, really led this franchise into the postseason. Now the pitch on the way by Narveson. Hit in the air to center, pretty well hit. Back goes the replacement for Cameron. That's Kane, and Lorenzo Kane makes the catch. Just shy of the track, 2 down. Cubs are down to their last chance, and it'll be Andres Blanco. Looking at Sabathia's season a year ago, he was 11-2 with a 1.65 ERA in a Milwaukee uniform. And don't forget Ben Sheets also. Ben has really been the main starter for this team for about the last 5 or 6 years. And he's gone. He signed as a free agent. Here's a swing and a high fly ball to center. This ball game is going to end if Kane can see it. He does. Milwaukee beats the Cubs by a score of 9-6 here in the Cactus League today. Cubs do nothing in the ninth. Back with the totals after this. Once again, the final score. The Milwaukee Brewers 9 and the Chicago Cubs 6. The game totals for the Milwaukee Brewers today: 9 runs, 12 hits, and no errors. For the Chicago Cubs, 6 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error. The time of the game, approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes, in front of a Maryvale Baseball Park audience of 9,354. 9-6 Milwaukee over the Cubs. Back to wrap things up after this on the WGN Cubs Radio Network.
From the WGN Newsroom, detailed answers being demanded.
Our next broadcast will be this Friday afternoon when the Chicago Cubs take on the San Diego Padres. That's Friday, March the 20th. Game time, 3:05 Central Time. Our thanks to Walt Ellis, our producer-engineer, for a job well done. For Ron Santo and Judd Surratt, Pat Hughes saying thank you very much for listening today. Once again, the final score, the Milwaukee Brewers 9 and the Chicago Cubs 6. Please stay tuned for Judd's post-game show. It's coming up next on the WGN Cubs Radio Network.
This is the Cubs Central postgame show on News Talk 720 WGN, sponsored by National City Bank. Judd Surratt back at Maryvale Ballpark in suburban Phoenix, Arizona. The Cubs fall to 9-11 in Cactus League play. The Milwaukee Brewers recording a 9-6 victory over the Cubs this afternoon. The Brewers improved to 8-7-2 in the Cactus League. Let's take a look at some other scores from around Major League Baseball today. We begin in the Grapefruit League. As we mentioned earlier, the Detroit Tigers win at 7-6 over the St. Louis Cardinals. Todd Wellemeyer shelled for 4 runs on 5 innings. Baltimore falls to Minnesota 5-3. The Red Sox 6 and the Blue Jays 4. The Washington Nationals record a 3-1 victory over the Florida Marlins. And the New York Yankees hammered the Philadelphia Phillies 12-0. Former White Sox Nick Swisher 3 for 4 today with 3 RBIs. Some Cactus League scores. All these games still going on. Kansas City with an 11-5 lead over the Chicago White Sox in the top of the 8th. Bartolo Colon with his first appearance of the spring. He allowed 4 runs in 1 2/3 innings of work. Elsewhere, the Angels 5 and the Giants 5 in the bottom of the 7th. Colorado with a 5-3 lead over the Diamondbacks in Tucson at the bottom of the 8th inning. Dodgers trailing Oakland 10-6 in the bottom of the 6th. The Dodgers playing a split squad game today. The Dodgers 3 and the Mariners 2 in the top of the 8th. Seattle and Cleveland are tied up at 1 in the bottom of the 8th. Later tonight in the World Baseball Classic, 7 o'clock Chicago time, so just over an hour from now, Venezuela will meet Puerto Rico, and at 10 o'clock, it will be Cuba against Mexico. Here today, it was the Cubs falling 9-6. The Brewers scoring 5 times in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the 8th. The Cubs with 1 in the second, 1 in the 6th, and 4 in the 8th. Jeff Samardzija suffers the loss in 2 innings of work, 5 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, and 1 home run. Dave Bush picks up the win. He is now 2-0 in Cactus League action. He allowed 6 hits, 1 run. It was earned in 4 innings of work. When we return, we'll head to the highlights on the Cubs Central pregame show. You're listening to the WGN Chicago Cubs Radio Network. This is the Cubs Highlight Show on News Talk 720 WGN. Judd Surratt back at Maryvale Ballpark here in suburban Phoenix, Arizona. We head now to the highlights. The Brewers victorious over the Cubs today, 9-6. It was the Brewers building an early 5-0 lead. Prince Fielder with an RBI triple. He later scored on an error charge to Mike Fontenot. And then Bill Hall wrapped a 3-run homer to left to make it 5-0 in the first inning. But the Cubs tried to claw their way back into the game starting in the second.
Now the 0-2 from Bush. Curve line toward right. Base hit. Johnson around third, heading home. He will be on his way to the plate and score standing up. RBI single, Bacco on a hanging changeup, it appeared.
So at that point, the Cubs trailed 5-1 heading into the third inning. And at that
got
point,
their only tally on Paul Bacco's single in the second. Here's a fly ball to deep center, back toward the track is Johnson. That ball is gone. Corey Hart with a booming home run just to the left of dead center. And Milwaukee now leads 6-1.
The Lexus High Performance Play of the Game is sponsored by your Chicago area, Northwest Indiana Lexus dealers. At that point, the Brewers with a 6-1 bulge, and then Ricky Weeks added an RBI single to make it 7-1. Chris Duffy laced an RBI single to make it 8-1. Dave Bush got out of a jam in the fourth inning. He loaded the bases against the Cubs, or put all the Cubs on the bags, and then was able to get 3 consecutive outs to get out of the jam. But the Cubs heading into the sixth, trailing 8-1, it was Aramis Ramirez with a belt to deep left center. Another breaking ball, and this one lobbed out the left center field. It's deep and gone.
All right. Yes.
Aramis Ramirez sort of reached out with the hands, able to get the bat through the hitting zone. And this one floats over the sign where it says 378. And the Cubs now trail at 8-2. In the eighth, Bobby Scales an RBI single.
Now the next offering. Ground ball left field base hit. A run is in, stopping at second to Boyce. Run scoring single Bobby Scales. Now it's 8-3 Milwaukee.
And Wellington Castillo closed out the scoring for the Cubs with a 3-run jack.
The 3-2. Runners go. The pitch hit in the air. Left field and deep. Back goes Duffy to the wall. Gone.
Oh, my gosh. That's the second home run in 2 days.
Wellington Castillo cracks a 3-run homer, and just like that, it's an 8-6 Milwaukee lead.
That was as far as the Cubs could get. The Brewers tacked on one more single run in the eighth inning, and again your final, the Brewers 9 and the Cubs 6. The Cubs' next game will take place on Tuesday against the Los Angeles Dodgers in Glendale. Carlos Zambrano will be on the hill. No word yet who the Dodgers will send for the start on the mound against the Cubs. And then our next broadcast of Chicago Cubs baseball will take place on Friday when the Cubs battle the San Diego Padres. Want to thank our engineer here in Maryvale, Walt Ellis, back at WGN, Krista Flores, for all of her help today. Also our intern, Chris Raby. On behalf of Ron Sano and Pat Hughes, I'm Judd Strott saying so long and thank you for taking the time to listen. The final here in Phoenix, the Brewers 9 and the Cubs 6. You have been listening to the WGN Chicago Cubs Radio Network.
Hi, this is Lou Piniella.
It's 6 o'clock at News Talk 720 WGN Chicago, and now WGN News. Here's Veronica Carter.
Mostly sunny and 64 at O'Hare. There's anger in the halls of Congress over AIG's plan to pay $165 million in executive bonuses after receiving $170 billion in taxpayer dollars to keep operating. Congressman Mark Kirk says when it comes to employee bonuses, embattled AIG should back down.
This is a decision that they've made at a policy level, and I think that they simply don't know the ground that they're on. The moment that you put your company on welfare, a whole bunch of other rules apply.
Kirk says Congress should not give AIG one more penny until the matter is resolved. Republican Senator Jeff Sessions says the Obama administration shares some of the blame.
It's really not an investment because no rational investor would ever have invested this kind of money in this company. The bullet was already in its heart. It was a dead duck.
President Obama says he'll see if there's a way to block the payouts. The Obama administration is offering a plan aimed at helping small businesses. It launched several measures to encourage banks to loosen up lending. Treasury Secretary is also ordering a series of new rules for temporary but significant tax breaks. Cook County's home foreclosures have doubled, and many residents are questioning why their property tax assessments are higher, while home prices have plummeted. Cook County's assessor Jim Houlihan says his office is teaming up with RW Ventures to make sure the housing market is accurately reflected.
The assessment is the first step in the property tax system, and we want to make sure that it's fair, uniform, and accurate, and we want to avoid missing some of these impacts of foreclosed homes on the general neighborhood values.
The reason behind higher assessment values is the county goes by home prices that are 3 years old. In 2005, homes were selling at higher prices. Those numbers are used for current property tax assessments. Well, a new report out shows mortgage scams up 26% nationwide. ABC's Matt Gutman has details.
The report found big fraud in Little, Rhode Island.
It has 3 times the amount that you would expect for the originations in Rhode Island.
Jennifer Butts of the Mortgage Asset Research Institute.
Why that is, we're not really sure.
And that's because Rhode Island wasn't even in the top 10 in 2007. The report found mortgage fraud expanding all over the country. Most scams begin in the application process. Brokers and loan originators are most often the culprits. Matt Gutman, ABC News, Miami.
Indiana Senate Republicans have proposed a plan designed to fix the state's bankrupt unemployment insurance fund. The plan outlined today at the State House would increase employer taxes overall, reduce benefits for some jobless, and tighten eligibility requirements. Senate Tax Committee plans to take up the new bill on Tuesday. On Wall Street, the Dow slipped 7 to 7,216, and the Nasdaq fell 27. And imagine a vicious meat-eating dinosaur, but only as big as a modern chicken. Canadian researchers say it's the smallest such critter yet discovered in North America. It's a pint-sized cousin of the much larger velociraptor in Jurassic Park. It's 6:04. Your next scheduled news update at 6:30, and get news on demand at WGNradio.com. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Veronica Carter, News Talk 720 WGN.
It's 6:07 WGN traffic now with Mary Vandeveld. Mary.
Good afternoon, Bruce. Inbound side of the Edens, about 40 minutes from Lake Cook Road to the junction. It's jammed up from Tower, the outbound Kennedy. Still some delays into Nagle, and inbound from Cumberland most of the way into Ashland, about 34 from O'Hare and 20 from the junction. Outbound Eisenhower, 34 to 53. That's slow into Austin. Inbound, same time, 34 from 53, just slow Manheim to First. We had an earlier accident on the outbound side of the Stevenson and County Line Road. Caused some huge delays. It has since been pushed off to the side, still about 40 minutes out to the Tri-State. Heavy from the Rhine to Kedzie and Harlem to County Line Road. Not bad on the Rhine in both directions. Bishop Ford, some outbound delays into 103rd. Tri-State jammed up northbound half day to Route 120 with a stall in the left lane. Dempster to Toohey, your southbound delay. I-90 eastbound after Route 59, an accident in the right lane. Westbound 88 is slow from York to 83. 53 southbound Findlay to Ogden. Some backups on Lakeshore Drive, northbound from Roosevelt to Jackson. All clear on 8094 and the Elgin O'Hare southbound 394. Slow from Glenwood Dyer Road to Sauk Trail due to the traffic lights that are malfunctioning in the area. I'm Mary Vandeveld, WGN Traffic Central.
And now it's time for a little tease on the weather with Tom Skilling before we get the Full Metal Jacket report from Tom. Tommy?
Hey, Bruce, how are you?
Very good. Yourself?
Bruce, you're going to be even better after this forecast. Warmest weather in 4.5 months on the way tomorrow. We'll tell you how warm that is. Look at a cool down later in the week. But another warm-up over the coming weekend. So some signs of spring showing up here in the weather office.
Thanks very much, Tom. We'll talk to you in a second. Now, here with the sports is David Kaplan.
NCAA tournament game times have been announced. Opener on Thursday is 8-seeded LSU versus 9-seed Butler in the South Region. 5-seed Illinois, last game of the day on Thursday, an 8:55 scheduled tip against 12-seeded Western Kentucky. Play-in game tomorrow night between Alabama State and Moorhead State. Louisville heads into the tournament as the nation's #1 overall seed for the first time in school history. Coaching news, Virginia has fired former DePaul head coach Dave Lato. Cavaliers reportedly interested in Oklahoma head coach Jeff Capel. Northwestern begins its run in the NIT Wednesday night at Tulsa. Our pregame coverage starts at 7:45 on WGNradio.com. The game will be joined in progress here on WGN immediately following Blackhawks hockey. Also in the NIT, Illinois State plays at Kansas State. Notre Dame hosts UAB. Our WGN Blackhawks update. Hawks skate in New Jersey tomorrow night. First of 3 games in 4 nights for the Hawks, who have lost 4 of their last 5. Pre-game coverage starts at 5:50 on WGN and WGNradio.com. Not good news for the Phillies. Their ace pitcher, Cole Hamels, having his sore left elbow examined. He has been sent back to Philadelphia. And in football, Denver quarterback Jay Cutler has asked for a trade. We'll talk with Vaughn McClure of the Tribune tonight about the likelihood of Cutler possibly coming to the Bears. They may lose John St. Clair, who is visiting the Browns today. Sports Central's at 7. I'm David Kaplan, WGN Sports.
And my name's Bruce Wolf, by the way. Hey, I got my name right, Tommy. It's not that easy. Can you pronounce my name, Tom?
I can. It's a very easy to pronounce. Wolf.
That's right. But say Bruce Wolf. It's very difficult. I know you're an experienced broadcaster for Lodies. You can say words like cumulus nimbus, all that, stratosphere. But Bruce Wolf is
all that kind of neat stuff. Yeah.
But Bruce Wolf Bruce Wolf is a tough name to pronounce.
It is.
Had I been a girl, my mother was going to name me Beth Wolf. Now, say that 10 times real fast. Beth Wolf. Not very easy.
I'll tell you. You know, the problem with this is the name Bruce Wolf is so famous in the Chicago area that none of us has any trouble. We've been using the name for years.
Tom.
Bruce, it's great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you. It's second only to the name Tom Skilling. By the way, we should mention, Tom, where in the world is, who hosts this show normally? Steve Cochran.
Yes, Mr. Cochran.
I believe Sam Zell sold him. He was the player to be named later in the deal with the Cubs. Sold him to the Ricketts family, and he's going to be the hopping coach for Alfonso Soriano. So he's a great hopscotch player. No, Steve's just on vacation.
Yeah.
And he'll be back in a couple of days. But you are the first person I'm talking to right now, Tom. So what a privilege it is. And
well, right back at you. I'm telling you, we've been, I've admired your work from a distance, and it's fun to be on the same station with you here now.
I wish I could say the same about you, Tom, but it's good that, no, really, seriously. I actually read an article before we get to the weather.
Yeah.
Michigan Avenue magazine, which is the slick magazine that comes to, nobody. You've got to live on Michigan Avenue, and who lives on Michigan Avenue? And I think it's not even south of Michigan. It's got to be north of the river, so Tribune Tower barely qualifies for it. But there's this new magazine. Have you seen the article about you in Michigan Avenue magazine? It's this very slick, It's about 500 pages each issue. They actually asked me to write an article for it, and I didn't even make the cut. It's 500 pages, and I didn't make the cut. I called the editor. She said, "Oh, we're not going to have it in our Valentine's Day issue. We're going to have it in April for opening day because it was about my first love."
Yeah.
Write about my first love.
Yeah.
I love this. I'm doing all the talking, and Tom Skilling is listening. This is a first in Chicago broadcasting. Tom Skilling is just sitting here as my sidekick.
I've got to tell you something. The editor of that magazine is the wife of our Tom Negevin,
right.
Susanna Negevin.
Susanna Homan, otherwise known.
Yes, right. And I had the privilege of being at their wedding. A beautiful wedding just recently where Tom and Susanna were married. But at any rate,
can I ask you this, Tom?
Yeah.
Now, when you're at the wedding,
yeah.
were you enjoying the ceremony, or are you thinking, I got to get back to the weather office? Because that was basically the article in Michigan Avenue magazine. That's why I bring it up, because it chronicled a day in the life of Tom Skilling, and it was all about how you wake up with weather. It's weather on the 9s or the 7s, and you never, ever lose the passion. And, Tom, I'm a man who never, ever has the passion. I'm nothing but angst. And I just wanted to know what it is like to have passion for something 24/7. Do you ever lose it?
You know what? And now, coming from Bruce Wolf, whose passion towards sports has got to be at least as intense as my passion.
No, I'm a fraud. I'm a fraud.
You're not. You're not. You're all knowing, my friend.
Knowing is not passion, Tom. It's just an exercise for me. I'm a stand-up comedian using sports as a vehicle.
Well, you are funny. There are no two ways about it. But also, the sports like the back of your hand.
Right.
I'll tell you something. But oh yeah,
what about the passion?
At the wedding. Didn't think about weather once during the wedding.
Not even as she's going down the aisle and you're just wondering, I wish I were outside right now.
Not at all. Except that I was glad it didn't snow when we were getting to the wedding. But,
okay. Do you have like a BlackBerry where you check the radar while she's going down the aisle? Because some of those ceremonies can take a little while. But Tom, just before we get to the weather itself, and this is my idea of doing a weather forecast. It's not even mentioning the weather. Although I just was watching the monitor here. We have Channel 9 up here.
Yeah.
You must do 20 minutes of weather at 5:30 on Channel 9.
We have a great time segment. I'll tell you, it's a real luxury for a weather forecaster in this day and age to have the kind of time I do.
I know, but Sapulsa is busy on Facebook, and he's he's maxed out at 5,000 friends. He's got spillover friends that he's giving to Dan Roan and Larry Potash.
5,000. Do you know something, Bruce? I checked the other day.
Yeah.
He's up to 9,000 friends. I thought the limit was 5,000.
If the limit is 5,000, he must have gotten special dispensation.
I guess so.
From Facebook. So, Tom, here's the question before we get to the weather.
Yes.
Do you ever lose the passion? Is there ever a moment of doubt? I mean, has there ever been, Tom? That's the question that I would
Bruce,
want to
I'll tell you something. To say that I find the weather interesting is a bit of an understatement. But I do have moments when I get away from it. I do. There aren't many of them, but I do.
But do you ever have a doubt about it? Like, what am I doing here? I mean, I've said it's partly cloudy for the 1,000,000th time.
No.
I don't want you to lose it either. I don't want you to lose it. I'm just asking about it.
You know what's interesting about doing the weather in this day and age is even if the weather is quiet the next couple of days, we can look far enough ahead. You're always looking toward the next change, that you figure is going to bother folks or be something somebody notices or is interested in.
I'm trying to bum you out, but I can't. Okay,
yeah,
Tom.
You are.
And I tried to filibuster the entire time and not talk about the weather, but we do have to get to the weather for crying out loud,
Bruce,
Tom.
I'll tell you something. Tomorrow is just one of those picture-perfect days. If you can cut out of work early, or better than that, calling sick, that wouldn't be a bad day to do it. Warmest day in 4.5 months on the way. This air mass that's to come in tomorrow is out in the plains, and there folks have been flirting with 80. We'll come close to breaking a record tomorrow. The warmest St. Patrick's Day here in 6 years, and one of only 4 St. Patrick's Days as warm as this in 138 years of weather records. So this is really unusual. It does turn a lot cooler Wednesday and Thursday, and there could be a couple showers Wednesday morning, but I think we'll be warming up again for the weekend. So we're going to play this old flirting with the cool air and the warm air and going back and forth over the next couple of weeks pretty frequently. But for tonight, mainly cloudy, milder, the strengthening south winds. That restricts the temperature fall, so 46 ought to be all we see for a low tonight. Then near-record warmth on Tuesday. It's the highest temperature since early November, highest of 2009 today. Generous sunshine, windy, gusts to 30 miles an hour, propel the temperatures to 73 degrees. That's a reading 26 degrees above normal, and you don't do that very often. Increasing clouds tomorrow night. Cold front passes late, turns it cooler, and could produce a late-night shower, low 38. And Wednesday, much cooler, Mainly cloudy, mainly morning showers, and temperatures near 46, except trending down to the upper 30s, low 40s at the lake. And our WGN 5-day forecast, mainly sunny, cold Thursday, high 38. Friday, though, sunny and starts warming up again. Though cool breezes may occur along the shoreline, we'll have a high of 52. Current thinking is 60 Saturday and maybe 69 or 70 on Sunday again, so keep your fingers crossed for that. Humidity now 33%, winds east at 7, barometer 30.20. And we've got a temperature of 63 in Aurora. It's 57 in Gary in northwest Indiana, 61 at O'Hare, 59 Midway, and 48 at the lakefront. And that's the weather, Bruce, live from the WGN Weather Center. It's been great talking to you. I'm Tom Skilling.
And now you're mumbling to yourself, don't ever put me on with this guy again. No, thank you so much, Tom.
It's been a real pleasure, Bruce.
A pleasure.
Great talking with you.
Can't throw you off your game. Thank you very much, Tom Skilling. And we're going to go to the traffic in 1 second. I want to throw out a topic for you because that's what you do at a talk news station. And how about this? Come October, you've got two big events in Chicago. The announcement on whether Chicago will get the Olympics for 2016. That's in October. Also, the Cubs. It's a foregone conclusion they're going to be in the playoffs. Which would you rather have? The Cubs win one game of the playoffs or Chicago get the Olympics? That's our topic right now. 312-591-7200. 312-591-7200. Remember, I'm not asking for a championship here. I'm asking for one victory in the playoffs because, if they don't win one time, everybody's gone. I mean, everybody on the Cubs goes. Everybody at Tribune goes. Cochran, his job as the hopscotch coach for Alfonso Soriano's gone. Now let's check the traffic with Mary Vanderbilt. Mary?
That's gloom and doom all of a sudden. Gee. Inbound Eden 35 from Lake Cook on in, jammed up from Tower. Outbound side of the Kennedy, some delays from Austin to Nagel. And inbound, improving Cumberland to Belmont, your only delay left, 28 in from O'Hare. Outbound Eisenhower is slow from Ashland to Austin, about 32 out to 53. Half hour coming in from 53, so no big delays there. Outbound side of the Stevenson, 36 out to the Tri-State, slow out to about Kedzie, more delays